I'd like to call this meeting in order at 7 o'clock. Can Chief Mantello lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just so you're aware, Mr. Chairman,
Vice Chair.
Richard Combs is on the line, so
Okay.
I'm not sure if you guys decided who's gonna,
Oh, it doesn't matter to me, whatever works.
all right.
Can I get an approval of the agenda, please?
Make a motion to approve the agenda for April 28th, 2025.
I'll second.
Is there any changes to the agenda? I believe there is.
Yeah, we need to add the liaison for the Ethics Committee
We're gonna do that right,
after the citizens' comments.
okay. I wanna add the appointment of a liaison to the State Ethics Commission right after citizens' comments, please. All those in favor of approving the agenda as written?
Aye.
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 And Dick's on.
Those opposed?
Dick, can you hear us? He's muted.
Citizens' comments, items not on the agenda?
You haven't done the minutes.
You're moving too far forward.
I wanna get out of here before. Can I get a motion to
I'll
approve?
make a motion to approve the minutes for April 14th, 2025.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any comments?
Well, you're here both in person and by Zoom.
I'm pretty good, ain't I?
You are, you're really. Every time it says John Alexander, it's K. Alexander instead of J. Alexander. I believe Helen Steele led the Pledge of Allegiance. On second page, the little paragraph says there has been more interest in renting space at the recreation center. He is going through figuring out contracts for rental and so forth. Who's he? And
I'm sorry, Mary, I was passing notes with Bob. What was the? What was the last one you were saying?
it's, there's been more interest in renting the space at the recreation center. He is going through figuring out contracts for the rental through VLCT. Who's he?
That was me.
And on page 5, we're talking about the second class license for the Deli. And the last line, it says before the next meeting, if this vote fails, the can make, it should be they can make,
Should be the select board, actually.
can make an approval at the next meeting. And that's it. Did I miss anything?
I'm good.
You're good. How about you, Mark?
I was absent last week, so
Okay.
I'm good.
All right.
2 weeks ago.
Okay. Do we want to take the question from,
I don't know, it was before this started, so I'd vote on this and then go back
Okay.
to it.
all those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Abstain.
And Dick, you're still muted. There you go.
I just had to change devices. I couldn't figure out how to activate the microphone on that tablet.
How do you vote in the
Can you hear
minutes?
me now?
Yes? Yes? How do you vote in the minutes?
I didn't participate in the discussion, so I will abstain.
Okay, well, I'm gonna vote yes, because I was zoomed in, so 3 to 2?
Well, he
3-0.
3-0.
3-0.
And then now there was a question from Jim Thomas.
Okay.
He's got his hand up.
Jim Thomas, can I take your question?
The question is, what's the status of the UDR?
That's on the agenda for later on.
Did you hear that,
How
Jim?
is that pertinent to the minutes?
No, his hand up was before the minutes. It was had it up during citizens' comments, but I didn't catch it.
Did you hear the answer to that, Jim Thomas?
I guess I missed it. You said it's on the agenda?
It's on the agenda.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Now we can go with citizen comments. Items not on the agenda. Guess we have none.
Pretty controversial night tonight.
Police department update.
No,
Oh,
added the appointment of the,
oh, geez, I'm screwing up my own list here.
Ethics.
Yeah, we gotta make an appointment of a liaison to the State Ethics Commission.
I would make a motion to appoint Mary Lee Harris, the liaison to the State Ethics Commission.
Second?
Any discussion?
She's the most ethical person I know.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
and we got Dick, he didn't vote.
He didn't vote either way.
Aye,
Aye,
I
okay.
vote aye.
And I too.
Mary Lee, do you vote for yourself?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Any nays?
No. That way I can hold you on.
I guess the vote passes 4-0, huh? Now can we do the police department update, please? Phew.
I don't remember seeing anything in the packet. Did we have a?
No?
Probably, I put it there,
I probably
Yeah, I don't know.
buried it, but I don't remember seeing it.
Yeah, you didn't mind.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, let's get back in the groove of things. So we'll do calls of service. As you go through, direct patrols increased, a lot more foot patrols last month as the weather was better. Mental health emergencies increased by 4, which we're seeing, we'll talk about that later. Property watch is up. Suspicious persons, like I said, warm weather brings out a lot of people creeping around. Traffic enforcement increased. So our calls overall increased by 160, 161 actually in March. Any questions on the service calls? If none, we've already done the rest. We doubled what we had last month, which from 3 to 6. And 3 of those charges was in reference to some mental health issues also. Any questions on those? Traffic violations, went by about 20, or 30 actually. As like I said, March, you're gonna see more and more enforcement as the weather gets settled, people wanna get out and take their hot rods out. No questions on that. Calls of service at Castleton University, obviously increased a little bit, 10. So usually from now, actually starts in April till May 17th they graduate. We'll see the weekends a little bit busier. especially once their exams end. Yeah, that week prior to graduation, things will be happening. But actually, the last 4 or 5 years, we've kept it pretty low key. Hasn't been too bad, actually. So as you can see what the calls were, get a couple foot patrols looking for somebody at that particular, those words and DPs. Nothing really stands out. Back up to that we provided, we did 5 in Poland last month. They had a lot of stuff going on down there. 2 different.
Those assists to Pulteney, is that for the state police or the sheriff's department?
These I didn't break down, probably both, probably half, depending what they would, what time they would.
So those organizations reciprocate?
Yep, oh yeah, yep. As you can see, not much, but they do, some people do. Actually, it'll show more in April. We had a couple of things we did in April that I actually requested. So let's take a look at some of those notes we kind of came up with. We talked about the increase of service calls. And I did a breakdown when we looked at the percentage of increase in mental health. So all of 2024, we had 52 mental health service calls. Just the first 4 months of this year, we did 33. So, I mean, that's a big jump. So that's gonna be probably over 100 for the year, I don't know, and that's my guess.
Is a lot on like the same people or like routine?
Well, this past month, I would say, I don't know what happened. We had a string where we did 3 mental health warrants in 2 weeks. Of course, most of them happened while on vacation, of course I get the call. But, yeah, I mean, when you get to the point of dealing with mental health, you gotta get a mental health warrant, and if they don't open the door, you gotta get a search warrant to go into the building. So that's a time-consuming event. The ones that we did recently in April is not showing in here, but the ones we did in March, we did get a mental health warrant, but we didn't have to do a search warrant. So it's very tenuous situations when you're dealing with people that have that mindset. They're in a manic state. Most of the time, they're off medication. Of course, you can't force people to take medication. I've been able to, matter of fact, I spoke with a couple today that I've been kind of supervising / watching and going up and visiting and making sure they're all good. So we try to do that, try to develop rapport so they can trust us.
Do you get support from the mental health agencies, or do they
Yeah.
just kind of send them back?
So there's two embedded, one's at the state police and one's in Rutland City. Rutland City, they won't release theirs, VSP will. So we have the schedule of one of the embedded mental health workers that we know quite well. And she's been very helpful, so, but late at night, they're not always there. So you've got to go through the process of getting, the mental health, and you can't get the mental health warrant until you have had contact with them to determine that they are unsafe. So that could take, that's a time-consuming thing. That could take anywhere from 4 to 6 hours.
Wow.
So you put 2 officers, sometimes 3, call somebody and do that. You get another call. State police had to cover one call that we had during one of those instances where they came, they supported, they went and answered a call for us. They're good about that. So we're seeing a big increase in that. We're getting close to May. And what happens every May, this time every year, what happens? What happens?
Parties.
No, mention those. Doors, the cars get rifled through. And so I've got to put out a thing on the Facebook just to make sure people keep their vehicle secured and don't leave anything in it. Because that's when we start getting them, from anywhere from May to June. Going through the rest of this, we talked about that. We've been proactive with the Blissville. The signs were put up. Justin met with, what's his name, Dave, or Bill Harrison, sorry. Put up the sign. Have you seen the signage? anybody out there?
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're very, very noticeable.
And then once we are allocated wherever we can order one of those, which I don't know if we actually can authorize order that, Mike, those radar displays.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's right, Justin did order that, so one of them's gonna be there. We'll put one on Main Street probably, and then I'll let the third one go.
What exactly are you talking about, so everybody knows it?
Oh, those radar displays are mounted permanently on the side of the road.
Solar
Just on the
powered.
shoulder, solar powered. Will display the speed, you can set whatever you want, the flash or whatever you set it at depending on the roadway. We've been trying to work on this for years, trying to get something there. But they're very expensive, you know, 4,000 to 5,000 each.
Actually, Pete, we
get the
we were gonna get two, last year the quote was 2 of them for $10,000. This year we got 3 of them for $9,000.
Yeah.
So, different vendor, but same standards. So, it's a pretty good deal.
And so Justin's still trying to schedule that meeting for the community thing, where they were busy, they couldn't do it, so I talked to them about it. They haven't rescheduled it yet. Also, we do have 3 officers that are EMTs, so they got recertified for another 2 years. And remember that big gas spill we had at Jiffy Mart? So right now, it's a battle between who's at fault, paying the bill. Basically, one saying it's not their fault, the other saying it's their fault, and so that may take a little while. We hope to recoup some of the costs, because under legislation, the law, any bills involved with hazmat spills, fire departments, police, whatever you have for emergency services get reimbursed through the company at fault. And we've done this before a few times for other spills that we've had. I do have one thing I want to add, it's not in here, but it's part of it. I did get the contract for next year for SRO signed by the superintendent. I just need you guys to look it over. The amount of $68,639.36 for next year for paying the officers to go to the schools. And so can we get that signed tonight, or?
I mean, I think one of the things that should be explained is that it covers all the expenses.
Correct. Actually, what we do is we also bill them for mileage, so the mileage is paid separately. Justin usually does that, let's see, 3 times during the school year.
So it doesn't take away from a shift. They're not getting out of shift to go do this, so it's not in lieu of or trade-off. And it also pays the wage, the FICA, all the expenses that the town has. So there's no.
And which schools do you go to?
So we go to CES, Benson, and Orwell.
Has there been any increase, Bob, I want to address them, okay?
Absolutely.
Is there be any increase to the hours at any of those schools?
Nope,
All right.
What are the hours
it's 4 hours per day.
at each school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the 4 hours actually are split up for all 3 schools each day.
Okay, so hour and 15 minutes, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Sometimes it's 5, it really depends on what's,
Okay.
especially if we have to cover a school board meeting or something like that. And that's built in. Any other questions on it? We've been doing it since 2018.
Is that paperwork in here, Mark?
Right here.
Oh, you've got it. I gotta say, I hadn't seen that.
No.
Okay.
I need, one of those copies will stay with the packet. I just need both copies signed. And I take one and give it back to the superintendent.
If you guys vote on it, and if you want to look at it, but it's really
You guys wanna look at
not
it?
much different than, besides the dollar amounts have changed.
But this is something you're in favor of, you recommend it has positive
Oh, yeah,
outcomes?
absolutely. We've been doing, like I said, 2018, so this is not anything new. But normally I would have the contract in by January.
And if the money goes unused, chief, what happens to it?
Then we send it back to them.
I would make a motion that we accept the law enforcement contract between the town of Castle and the Slate Valley Union School District.
Do I have a second?
I'll second
All those in favor?
Aye.
it. Aye.
I vote aye.
I vote aye too. It passes. 5-0.
Thank you.
Who's gonna sign it? Big sign.
Our vice chairman.
You could,
You can sign.
you're here, Bob, so. Is that an X?
Stop it. I'm gonna move down here.
Do you want this back, chief?
I gotta sign that one too.
Oh, okay.
What are we gonna hang on?
Oh, I'm gonna hang on, I'll hang on to this one.
You can just do an X, right?
And now,
Got any more questions or?
You've had a really positive effect on Blissville.
Yeah, I'm glad because we just got the one issue resolved that everybody thought was somebody else, so.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Yeah, I'm glad that's resolved, but the vandalism seems to have
Yeah.
completely gone away and the traffic has slowed down.
Good. Good. And then what'll happen, you know what'll happen now? Somebody else will say something on their road, we got done
Yeah, I'm sure.
it. We go back and forth.
At the very end of Belgo.
No, the Creek Road, that'll be it.
Yeah, it's getting to be about that summertime for Creek
In the
Road.
mornings.
It's job security.
Sorry.
That might be a good place to put the other speed thing.
Where?
Before you get to the marina. Where you hit that, you know. Because there's no power, it's all, they're solar powered.
paving bid review, consideration for bid award. You guys all receive that in your packets?
Did it make sense? Hopefully it did.
Yeah, I think so.
I do have the actual bid sheets, but everything was transferred off this. But is representative here from Pike Industries, Mike Moans here. Anybody from Fuller Sand and Gravel or Wilkes?
Tim at Wilk Paving, I'm listening in on Zoom.
Is this Tim? Is that Tim Rice?
Yes, sir.
So it's Tim Rice from Wilkes on Zoom.
Is Jeff on there?
He is.
Jeff, would you speak to this, since you worked on it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anytime. Or do we have to ask you a question?
Well, usually we ask for a recommendation, if you have a recommendation.
That's kind of what I'm asking you, Jeff. Do you have a recommendation since you handled all this?
I've only worked with Wilk in the 2 years that I've been here, but my understanding is that that Pike and Fuller and Wilk are all reputable companies that do a majority of the work in our area. So it would be to the numbers, I guess, as far as the decision made.
That's correct.
What about time frame? Do we have one that can get it done sooner than the other?
That was the one question that I had too.
I don't have the bid packet in front of me. I could look it up. I'm not sure what we gave for timeframes. My intent would be that it doesn't start till after school's out and it ends before school starts. Because that's a school bus route up there and it could delay things in the morning, so I'm not sure if you want either Mike Mullen from Pike or Tim Rice from Wilkes to answer that question for you.
I'd like both of them to speak to it.
No problem scheduling whenever we need to.
And how about you, Tim?
I don't think that's a problem. You're July 1 to what? You're talking August, mid-August roughly for school, late third week of August, something like that?
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah.
I think school's out like towards the second or third week of June, right? Normally. And
Well, I know that it's not the cheapest, but I really like the idea of working with Wilkes, that is a local contractor. Just my 2 cents.
I have a question. Can I have a question?
Absolutely.
Going down to total handwork cost, it's kind of in the middle. It just seems Pike had 9,000, Wilkes has 12, and Fuller 13. How can there be that much difference?
It was the price per ton, so they all bid we're talking about the handwork, right?
Yes.
So, Pike's price per ton was $150 per ton, Wilkes was $200 a ton. They all three contractors bid on 60 tons for that part of the project, so 60 times 150 was 9,000, and 60 times 2,000, or 200 was 12,000, so that's where the $3,000 difference comes from.
It seems like a big difference. Okay.
Any questions, Rob?
I'm just looking at Fenton Road, the handwork for Pike is $0.
You can do it with a paver, one driveway on the way by.
Okay.
Dick, do you have any questions?
No, I'm thinking all three companies are eminently qualified, and there's a minor difference between Pike and, Wilk. The only question I have is, was this Wilk's original bid? Or do we wanna go there? Or was this an amended bid?
Can you answer that?
Yeah, I guess you have to.
When we opened the bid packets, on Thursday, I remember the days. Anyway, when the bids were due, we opened them up at noon, and we read the bids out. I read the bids out loud, and at the time, there was a clerical error in Wilkes. Everybody knew they were bidding on 4,483 tons, and that's at the very top of that, your paving bid grid there, where it says cost no milling. The one right above it says total tonnage. So they all bid on it, and Wilk had a clerical error. They had this 5,100 and whatever the next one down is. I forgot the number now. It's 5,167, I think. So that would have put their bid way higher. So we recognized where it was, where the error was. On this one you're looking at here, I put them all at the same tonnage. Even though the tonnage was corrected and it wasn't the higher number, in the end, Pike's bid total bid is lower, by like I was just doing I did it earlier, $700 and something dollars. I'm doing it right now. So that's where
It was 782.54, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right, Tim.
Somewhere in there.
782.54 is correct. That's the difference between the two bids. I've been here 7.5 years. That's the first time I've seen a bid that close. And I give the contractors and Jeff credit, because they went out there and they all met and they all kind of looked at this and agreed upon the tonnage so that they were bidding apples to apples. So I appreciate the effort that everybody put in this one, because it did give us kind of an apples to apples type comparison.
I have no more questions.
Okay.
So to be clear, I guess, I'm not trying to fill in the void of the silence, but the milling or reclaiming is about 0.4 miles, and if you can picture the old Anderson farm, Glenmar Dairy, from there it kind of goes uphill a little bit, right past it. It's basically almost to the top of the hill, some in that area. So it's only about 4/10 that have to be dug out and reclaimed, because the road sub-base is kind of falling apart there. So all the rest of it is just a shim and overlay.
Is that separated on here, Mike? You said reclaim, and I don't see.
Right, it's right here.
Is it
It's the
milling
second part.
Reclaiming.
Yes,
Milling, reclaiming,
it
0.4
says
miles.
0.4 miles.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
I am gonna make a motion, and I'm gonna make it in regards to the comment that I made earlier, that I think that it's always in our best interest to deal with a local company that employs local people.
Can I make a comment before you take a vote?
Pardon me?
Can I make a comment before you take a vote?
Sure.
Absolutely.
What makes that company work?
Mike, would you,
Can you just come up there and just
the microphone's up there, it's hard to pick it up back there.
introduce who you are?
Mike Mullen from Pike Industries. What would make Wilkes more local than Pike Industries? All my employees come from around here. I'm from around here, born and raised here. Any monies that are spent, the big money goes to liquid asphalt, which we all buy it on New York State. So the volume of money stays to the employees in this area, no matter which company it is.
Okay, then I'll stand corrected. I was under the impression that you are a New Hampshire-based company?
Our company is based out of New Hampshire. We're in 3 states, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But all the employees are local people.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You want to make a motion, Mr. Brown?
Well,
You want to speak to it, Tim?
Well, I just wanted to say that, they're also owned by a larger, Old Castle CRH, which, is not local. It's actually, a global company, but they're a subsidiary or a business of them, but we're based right out of Rutland. It's our only plant, only location, so just a comment.
Thank you. What do we do?
You don't have a second.
Well, you haven't got a first yet.
We haven't made a motion yet.
No motion's been made yet.
so my feeling is still predominantly the same. Maybe that doesn't serve the taxpayers of Castleton in the best way. Maybe we're supposed to take the cheapest bid. I guess Mike said that all 3 companies have done good work for the town of Castleton. The only one that I'm familiar with their work really would be Wilk, because they paved in town last year.
I've worked with all 3 of them. I found all 3 of them to be accommodating, because probably, I'm not sure if we're a bigger pain in the rear end than most towns, but we seem to ask them to jump around or stop here and go there, and that every time that they've paved, they've accommodated that, so I have really no negative to say about any of them. I have nothing negative to say about any of them.
Where do we go, folks?
If there's no more discussion, I'm gonna make the motion that we award the paving contract to Wilk for the sum of $444,898.34.
I will second that.
Dick, a second it? Okay. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I vote aye.
Nays?
I'm still thinking here.
Yay.
Your name, Mary Lee?
I'm gonna vote aye just because of the keeping everything in Vermont. The company's 100% in Vermont. That's where I'm at.
Okay, I'm gonna abstain. Vote passes 3-1 for Wilk Paving for the total amount of $444,898.34. That was a tough one, guys.
It's a tough one,
Yeah,
for sure.
Very tough.
And I don't mean to show any bias against Wilt. I just think it's the best thing for our community.
Thank you, board.
The only comment I'll add in there is that I think all three companies are absolutely qualified to do this work, and they've all done good work, and I agreed with Mark simply for the same reasons he previously stated.
Well, I want to say thanks to all of them for
Thank you.
going through the process with us and making it fair.
Couldn't get any closer.
I'm doing a good job, all three of them. All right.
Thank you for your confidence.
We'll be double checking your work. Don't let us down.
Bob whispered to me and said it was in spite of you.
Everyone put a big effort in though, going out there and looking, and we all compared notes, and so you guys got some really competitive bids, at least between us and Pike Industries, extremely close. It's well done.
It makes it tough on us, Tim. It really does.
Understood. I completely understand. But thank you.
You're welcome. Purchase a new skid steer. I think this is Jeff or you, Mike?
I'll start, just to give you I hopefully I've shared enough by emails with folks to let them know what's going on, but, in your packet, I did not put the new bids in there because I didn't expect that you would make a motion tonight. It was more of a catch you up on what's going on and kind of see what direction you want to go in. I'll try to lead you down to what I think is best, but, the skid steer, there's a issue with, in the belly of the beast, a part that is no longer available. It's a gear, it's got oil in it, keeps the chains lubricated. It's rusted through, there's oil spewing out of the thing. It's not just that, there's rust inside the machine. It's a 2000, I thought it was a 5, but I think I stand corrected, it might be a 2006. And even if they had the part to get to it, I think it's in your packet, at the very end of that email, it said it would be about 80 hours of labor to tear that thing apart and put it back together. And they're putting it back together, that's if they find nothing else wrong, and rusted and that kind of stuff. So talking with the highway foreman and the mechanic, and a couple other folks, my recommendation is that we look at replacing this, and not try to fix something or buy a used one. On the equipment replacement plan, it was the next vehicle to be replaced in 5 years. That was the first vehicle that we'd come to. So this probably wouldn't work if it was anywhere else on that schedule, but we're putting $15,800 away over the next 5 years to replace this. So the money's gonna be going in there no matter what, or allocated towards that. What I'm recommending is the board consider just buying it outright. We have the resources available to do that in the vehicle replacement fund without depleting it. It's gonna keep close to $100,000 in that vehicle replacement reserve account. We don't have to pay interest on it that way, and over the 5 years, it's gonna pay itself back into that account. It'll be replenished, and we don't pay any interest. And it's because it's the first thing, it doesn't take away from anything else. The question is whether if you wanna go new, that'd be the first one. 2, wheeled or tracked.
Is this the tracked one we're talking about now?
Well, we have a wheeled one, but the track, we have quotes for both wheeled
I know,
and
but which one is broke down right now or leaking or whatever?
the wheeled Bobcat.
Okay.
So whether we replace it with a wheeled version or a track version. And I've had many conversations with our employees and the dealers, and it's more money for the track by about $8,000.
And we have a tracked one already?
No, we wheeled one. But, so we're looking to replace it with a tracked one, which provides better stability. It doesn't tear up things as much when you're going across grass and lawns or whatever we don't want to tear up. But also, well, there's probably a little more maintenance with it, but one of the things I found with this skid steer and talking to people is because the wheeled ones can almost pivot on themselves, that it tears the wheels up, the tires up, when you're scraping on the asphalt. And we use this primarily for ditching during the summer after roads are, well, not just after roads have been paved, but ditching. It also is used, the post hole diggers on it, the sweepers used, because it has the bucket for the inward sweeper. So when we do the sidewalks, it puts the dirt in the bucket rather than all over people's lawns. They use it to split the firewood with, which saves us money from burning fuel oil. And there's all kinds of little, they used to spread sand around with it, but it can be used for other things. So it's now deciding whether or not the wheeled version is the better option or the track version. Again, it's about $8,000 more for the track versions. I talked to the dealers, and you know, you're talking a 5-year warranty on them, with 100,000 hours. So it's a lot on them, but if we ever hit 100,000 hours, I don't.
What's the warranty on the tracks though? Like what's the replacement cost on the track versus a set of tires?
I haven't done that yet, and I figured that there'll be questions that come out of this meeting that I can go back and try to find for you.
And the other one's still in service right now though, correct?
Well, Jeff, this is where,
Cause it went by my house the other day.
yeah, I think they're still using it, just till it dies, kind of thing. But we borrowed one from Fairhaven, so if you had one that went by your house with tracks on it.
Yeah, that's why I was a little confused sitting here. I didn't want to call you out on it,
Yeah,
but
no.
I was a little confused.
Yeah,
No, you can.
we borrowed that one,
You can call them out.
so, yeah, Bob does.
With the leak that ours has, that won't, if you run it for 2-3 hours, it's history.
It's that bad?
I went up and looked at it. Have you ever looked at the way they're built?
Not super close.
There's a picture in here.
Yeah, I looked at the diagram. They're not really.
So you know the motor and transmission and the operator in the middle, and then those sides are like a big water trough. And you've got 2 gears on each side, one on each wheel, and a chain that connects them, and that's an oil bath. So those rust out, and when it gets low on oil, the wheel bearings are the first thing that starve, and the hydraulic pump's right behind it,
Yeah.
because it's the same oil as the hydraulic pump.
Okay, question from someone that don't know what she's talking about. If the asphalt is hard on the wheels, wouldn't the track be hard on the asphalt?
They're rubber tracks. They're really, the tracks are so much better in every way. Operator comfort is way, way better, and the ease of operation is way better. You know, because it's a skid steer, you know, one side locks up, the thing kind of bucks around when you turn it.
It bounces.
When it has the wheels, you're talking about. Yeah, yeah.
And you can't, we're gonna go out and do work on the front lawn here, when you're done, you've got ditches, and the tracks will go out there and not make any mess at all.
That answered my question, thank you.
There's no way to repair it. It's too.
It's repairable for sure.
Well, Matt, you can't weld a patch in it or anything right now currently,
You can, you know, I
but
think
it's
that,
buried.
I know a couple guys that would fix that, probably for $8 to $10,000. It's about a $10,000 piece of machinery.
Yeah, it's not worth putting that much into it.
I don't think it's, you know, it's 20 years old. I'm pretty sure we'll get $5,000 for it the way it is. And you take it all apart, and as you put it back together, does it
Yeah.
need chains and sprockets, wheel bearings? It's a lot. I fixed one years and years ago, and it was a stupid thing to do. And I was just doing it myself, for myself, but to pay someone else to do it.
The quotes, just so you get a sense of where there's one, I don't want to, because you're not voting on it, I don't want to disclose vendors' names and stuff like that. But there's one vendor that goes through Sourcewell, which is a national version of state bid contracts. And their prices have been significantly lower than others, but I'm not, that's why I'm not using names, so you won't really get bias on it, but, you're talking somewhere in the neighborhood of 55,000
Difference between.
No, that's if I kind of average it out about, but I don't have I have the Sourcewell one, but not for the tract.
Have we spec'd out what size machine we need?
This is a,
Because they go from 50
Yeah.
to 100.
this was a S66 is the wheeled version, and that's a 74 horsepower Bobcat engine. I've only spec'd out, well, I say I only talked to one vendor, Jeff did all the rest of it. On the, I'm sorry, I was thinking, trying to talk at the same time. This is for all the like size of what we have right now. There's a couple that you had in your packet. That one, that larger version is gonna be somewhere in the $95,000 range. I think that's a little.
It's like a 120 horsepower machine. I
Yeah.
think I'm quite certain it's gonna be significantly wider than the one we have and might not be suitable for sidewalk work.
Yeah, yeah, and it's heavier. But
That 70 horsepower is
That's the way to go.
where we're at right now. I think that's what
Okay.
is sidewalk size machine.
I take it back. I have one, a T650 Bobcat, tracked. We're in the $56,000 range.
And so we just needs comparisons between roughly the same units,
So
vendors.
that's what we have to do, is to go back and look at other vendors, because one of those, that off name formerly was a Doosan.
Yep, yep.
So that's why I didn't recognize the name there, but we'll go back to get some comparable quotes on tracks. If that's what the board's saying, is you want to lean towards the track version.
I would vote for the
Yeah, I
tracks.
would vote for the track one as
Yeah,
well.
absolutely. That's
I
what
would
everybody's
vote
going.
for like a 70 to 80 horsepower track machine, and all the comparisons should have the same weight. So you know you're comparing apples to apples.
So I'll get all that information. I have a spreadsheet that has, the comparisons of the two Bobcat machines, but I can get that for everything else and bring it back. I just wanted to know which direction the board wanted to go before we start wasting someone's time.
And some don't have front hydraulics, so you gotta make sure that it has that.
And the other thing was brought to my attention today was, by a contractor, was about this hydraulics. If we ever wanna move towards putting, something like a stump grinder on it, because we pay every year to stump grind, and if we had our own, it's gonna take a little while to pay it back. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be a 1 year, just $12,000 for a stump grinder. So that might not be on the docket right now, but, as we move forward, that needs that hydraulics like that. It's an upgrade to hydraulics. But, so I'll come back to you with all that information in a packet and try to explain the best I can, but,
You will reach out to the 3 or 4 other kinds too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I just want to make sure you were going to do that.
no,
Yeah.
we'll reach out to whatever's available around here.
John
for
Deere,
vendors.
Kubota, Cat,
Yeah.
Bobcat, there's 4 or 5 others.
Yeah.
Yep,
No, we will.
that's fine.
Yep, and we'll
Yep.
look for that track vehicle and that same, these are all 74 horsepower type, most of them are 74, 78. So we'll get it all put together and bring it back to you, but we'll look for tracked.
This particular one, is it a used one?
If it's a 2023, it's used and it has the remainder of the warranty on it, which was like 3 years.
Probably one they just rented out is what it was.
Yeah, somebody brought it back because it was too small for the job they wanted, so.
That's a great brand, but there's no dealer.
Yeah, G-Stones is, they only deal in tracks too. They don't deal in the wheeled versions, so.
Yep.
that- By you go on the track, that puts them in the running to bid on it too, and they're not that far from here.
Yeah, whatever one we get, we gotta make sure we can get serviced within a relatively,
There is one over in New York, in Saratoga.
The Bobcat dealer.
Yeah, so,
That is an American-made machine that has a really, really good reputation.
There's a lot of them out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of them out there.
Yeah,
So we'll bring it back, have it for the next meeting, and
okay.
Well, I mean, we said we need a new Bobcat, you know, not we need a new
Right.
Manitou.
yeah. Yeah, it's, I don't know, it's, we'll get the dealers that are close by and see what they
Prices.
sell and put it on a spreadsheet and let you decide.
Great.
Jeff, do you have anything, Bob, you want to have?
Oh, yeah, Jeff, do you want to comment to this at all?
No, you guys are going the right course of action. I believe we need a mid-size skids or track unit. And I'm not particularly brand loyal, so if Mark and Mike Smith have recommendations, I'd be more than willing to listen to what they have to say.
Okay, can we get Jeff Davison to speak to it too? Do you have anything to say on it, Jeff?
Nope, I'll just have to re-gear everything towards, the tracks. I already have contacts, so it's just reaching out with the specs we're looking for.
Okay. Thank you.
Jeff, do you know what width broom that we have right now?
The pickup broom is a 60-inch.
The sidewalks are 5 feet too.
It fits right on the sidewalks.
Yep. So you kind of want to be in a machine that's not wider than that.
Correct. Be preferable.
I'm gonna think the one they used the last time was wider than that, cause there was track marks down the lawns down through.
The track one is bigger, yeah. And it has, the other thing with that, the buckets on this, there's a 74-inch bucket, and then there's a 68-inch bucket, and I think a 74-inch bucket's gonna be, if we're using it for the sidewalks and brooming into that, might be a little overkill. It's gonna be way over the sides of the sidewalks.
Do we have both size buckets then, not right now? Do we have the 68-inch bucket too?
I'll defer that one.
Okay.
We have a 60-inch bucket and then a smaller bucket.
Okay, so we don't have a 74-inch bucket then?
No, sir.
Okay. Is that what these
Well,
back ones come with?
one calls it a heavy-duty bucket that's 74-inch, and the other one calls it it's a different, they use different language. That one's a 68-inch heavy-duty bucket. There's another word they use in it.
Okay.
But I have the spec I have copies of that. That's the spec sheets that kind of compare things. I can get those from other vendors.
Okay.
No, yeah.
You got your homework list.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. Can we move on, guys? Coin drop
It's
request?
time.
Oh, are you all set, Dick?
I am.
Okay. Move on to coin drop request. You guys all looked at that in your packet?
I have a question.
Okay, you can go first, Mary Lee.
I understand that Lions Club is going to have a coin drop, but I don't see them on the list.
I don't have a request from them. At least I couldn't find one in there's a folder in the,
They're ready to do it very soon.
I looked in the folder in the admin office, and it had 2 of them in there, and I got a couple by email, or 1 by email, at least, but I didn't see anything there for Lions Club. But there's 6, you guys, the select board has the authority for 6, and the only 2 that by the coin drop policy that were kind of set aside, it says, the Castleton Fire Department and Recreation Commission shall be granted permission annually and given their choice of dates. If a total of 6 requests are not received by April 30th, then the select board reserves the right to award an additional coin drop to organizations or agencies already granted one, giving consideration to the Castleton Recreation Commission, the Castleton Fire Department, and then any other organization or agency in that order.
So right now we have 3, possibly 4 with the
How do
line.
I raise my hand here?
You just did. Who were you talking to?
Jeff, Pat and Jeff Schrader from the Castleton Lions Club.
Yep, go ahead, Jeff.
My wife is more efficient than I am, and I can't get it. He sent in a request almost immediately, and I can't, with this view right now, I can't tell you what she was requesting.
Here it is.
I can look it up too. She sent it to
She
me.
happens to be at a library board meeting right now. So,
Mike
let
is,
me,
Let's see if he has.
let
I'm
me,
looking. it up.
tell you when she requested. I don't know if that's gonna mean anything, but I know she put in a request very early on, almost immediately. And my computer isn't working with me.
What's your email? A couple, first two letters.
Okay, how do I get the calendar here?
Bob, can I interject here?
absolutely, Dick, go ahead. Help us out
I
here.
do not have any, paperwork in front of me, but my understanding is we have 3 requests in front of the board at this point in time.
Well, I'd see 4, Dick, here, but one of them doesn't have any dates on it.
So what do you have in front of you, Bob? Help me out here.
Okay, I got Fairhaven Middle School with dates. I got Castleton Fire Department with dates. I got Castleton Community Senior Center with dates, and then the last one is Castleton Rec Commission with no dates.
Okay, so we still have 2 slots.
We do.
Okay, the Lions Club has reason to believe they've already requested it, and we just don't seem to have our hands on it at this point.
At this point, yes.
So
Okay,
we could approve their request without a physical document, assuming, based on Pat's verbiage just now.
Yep.
And if they can provide us with another copy of that request tomorrow, then we'll go forward with it.
Absolutely.
What do you think? Does that make sense, guys?
Okay, just so you know, her request was for June 21 and rain date of June 28.
Is that a conflict with anything in front of you, Bob?
No.
No, it is not.
Then I don't see any reason why we can't approve that request, and then they just provide us with something in writing tomorrow. Does that make sense, Board?
It absolutely makes sense to me. Anybody else have any issues with it?
I'm good.
And my opinion is we have 5 against an opening of 6 requests. We have 5 requests, 4 firm dates, 1 date to be advised at some point in time. They just can't request a date that's already given for the rec department, and let's approve those requests, and then we can
Move
go on
forward.
to the next thing.
Okay.
Right, the rec commission and the fire
I
department
have-
get one automatically. They don't have to have a
I
date.
have the dates for the rec department.
That's Mary Drogy. Okay.
Yeah, I believe, it was sent in, just maybe last night. But they're requesting August 23rd with a rain date of September 6th.
Is that a conflict, Bob?
Nope.
Nope, I don't believe it is. What was that? August 23rd, and what's the rain date?
September 6th.
September 6th?
Yeah, neither one of them are.
Now, that's coming from the Friends. Martha, are you on? Is there a separate one for the commission? Or are they the
No.
same?
No, they're not, there's no one from the rec, commission itself. I kind of wanted Friends to take over that because the fundraising piece.
Okay.
And I agree with your dates. I saw that email too, so that I agree with your dates, Mary.
Okay.
We can make a motion if we want.
Right, Bob, I don't see any reason why we can't approve those as requested.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to that effect, I just don't have the dates in front of me.
You wanna let Rob do it? Cause he's got the dates in front of him.
Well, I don't know if we have to have dates in the minutes, do we, Mike?
I would prefer them to be in there just in case we
All right,
lose
then,
something.
I'll be quiet, I'll second Rob's motion when he's done.
Okay.
It would make a motion to approve the coin drop for the Fairhaven Middle School for the 2nd of August, 2025, with a rain date of the 16th of August, 2025. The Castleton Fire Department Association for the 20th of September, 2025, and with a rain date.
That's not possible.
Yeah, what do we got going on here? First choice or second choice? So
Let's move them around.
the
Just move 'em around.
the Castleton Fire Department with the 13th of September, 2025, with a rain date of the 20th of September, 2025.
Hold on.
We're changing the sheet.
Because the rain date is
Just give, if
Is
you don't
the-
mind, just give me a second. I'm gonna look at Lisa Thayer's text to me to make sure the dates are correct. Sorry.
Well, I'll skip by the fire department right now. And we'll do the Castleton Community Senior Center for the 4th of October with a rain date of the 18th of October. The Friends of Castleton Rec for August 23rd with a rain date of September 6th. And the Castleton Lions Club with June 21st with a rain date of June 28th.
I'm gonna abstain from voting because I think that coin drops are a bad idea. I know there's a policy already written that we have them. I think they're dangerous from a traffic standpoint, but more than that, I think that it makes people feel really uncomfortable that you go to the dump and you've got to stop and fish money out for the fire department, which already has a robust budget that we support 100%, and those guys do a great job, so sorry, Heath, but I just think that the whole coin drop thing is a bad idea. I think it makes people in the community feel bad. They have to stop and give more money to something that they've already put money into through the budget. I know the middle school trip is different, but we've got a pretty robust school budget. You know, we paid quite a bit. And now if I go to the Shaw's to get milk, I've got to put a couple bucks in the cup for more.
You don't have to.
Well, you feel like an idiot if you don't.
Well, I guess I'm an idiot.
From now on, I'm just gonna say, I'm with Mrs. Harris.
We're not done. Mike's still looking
I
for
just
dates
waved
for one of them,
usually.
Dick.
I just tried recovering the deleted message from Lisa, and it doesn't show up anymore. But
They're probably just backward, huh? The 13th and the 20th?
yeah, because the one I just pulled up on, that I saved, the last one, it was the 20th was the first and the 13th was the second, and I believe that is absolutely correct. Because they were waiting on an event at the university to schedule their dates, and they flipped them. Because originally it was the 13th, and the 20th was the second. But either way, nobody else has them, so if I find out it's wrong,
We can adjust it a little bit.
just flopping the first, nobody else has their September dates.
Yeah.
So it's the primary and the secondary, so it's just gotta flip-flop them, so I would say that the primary is the 20th and the rain date is the 13th.
Other way.
The other way.
No, what I saved is, what her email to me was.
Yeah, their rain date is if there's something going on the 20th, then they're gonna do it on the 13th.
They were just confirming to make sure that,
Those two dates were available, just. in
that's how,
case.
I'm pretty sure that's her final version, but anyway, you can approve it any way you want to. I'll
think we're
verify the
safe.
dates and we'll,
Go ahead with your second, Dick, and we can move on.
What?
I'll second that motion, and in any case, we're not approving two for the fire department at this point in time, correct?
Correct, just one.
Just the one.
Okay, that motion is seconded.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
I'm an aye.
Mark abstained.
Mark abstains. So it passes 4-0.
and now that I was focused on everything else, who made the motion?
I did.
Mary Lee seconded it? Yes.
Dick seconding it.
Dick seconded it.
Right, thank you.
So there's still one available, and they got 2 days to get their name in? Is that how we do it, or we just kind of leave it open?
So if they don't get in by the 30th, then you guys decide after that.
After that, if somebody comes to us, or...
If somebody says, I had like another one, you can just.
We could have a select board coin drop. We'll get set Mark out there.
For the Bobcat.
Starts at 7 PM, goes to midnight.
After dark, no matter what. Sorry, Mark.
Better pick it up, Bob, you're running
I'm
behind.
gonna say, I don't know where the hell I even am here.
You're at Rec Commission.
Recreation Commission member nominees.
Okay. Member nominees, appointment consideration, Recreation Commission. We had somebody write in, right?
We got a letter from that Eric Pulver, it looks like, who we were waiting on.
He's in the back room, in the back of the room.
Would you like to comment, Eric? Come up to the podium, or
Introduce yourself.
we can get an official picture of you, or whatever?
Oh, I got a professional one.
Okay.
You're gonna draw on your fingers, get your fingerprints.
It was taken
tonight.
from inside of a window.
Don't need that, I'm state employees, already got those.
Okay.
So, anyway, thank you for having me. So I think my main comment will just be kind of what I said in the letter, which is, I think I would be really helpful for the rec commission to be able to look into the future, and especially as one of their big projects right now is a 5-year strategic plan or vision for the, I've been doing that all night. For the rec commission and sort of the rec department, and just a brief history of me. I moved here. I live in Castleton. I moved here a couple of years ago to take a position at the Vermont Department of Health in Rutland, and I also have a master's degree in public health, and my undergraduate degree is in human performance and sport management. So I feel like I could do a lot and add a lot to the rec commission. So.
I heard a rumor that you have grant writing experience.
Yes, I wouldn't say super extensive, but I have written a few grants in my time. So I would say, so I'm here not as part of my public health position. I'm here as just a resident of Castleton. So here I can say, yes, I can do more grant writing. So don't ask me for, as a public health, that's a whole different story. But.
Okay.
Good. Well, I really appreciate you coming forward and offering to volunteer your time for the rec commission. I'm sure you followed a little bit of what's going on. We have a lot of exciting things happening, and we could use your energy and experience.
Certainly. And, if everything is like that skid steer conversation, it should be fun.
Or the coin drop?
Oh, the coin drops.
Or the coin drop.
Mr. Chairman, or Mr. Vice Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
I'm ready to make a motion to appoint Eric Culver to a position on the Castleton Rec Commission for a term to expire on June 30th, 2028.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is that, when's that effective? Immediately?
Effective immediately.
It is now.
Did you say you want to buy the skid steer now? Is that what you said?
If the coin drop raised enough funds.
Okay, Bob, any other names to be considered tonight?
I didn't have any in my packet. Is there anybody else here?
Still need to go over the one from last week.
Jennifer Taylor Green.
Okay. All right.
It's not in your packet. It was handed
Nope.
out last one, so
All right.
I don't think anything's changed since
It's
then.
not Taylor Green, it's,
Thought it was.
It's Morrison Taylor.
There you go.
Morrison Taylor, there we go.
Now, is she the resident or non-resident?
She's the Hubbardton resident. She lives just over the line.
Okay.
Somebody gonna make a motion on Jennifer Morrison Taylor?
Is Jennifer on?
I know she's out of state. I don't see her on.
Okay.
She was present at the previous select board meeting, Mark, and you were not, but she was there and she made her presence known. And I'd say it's safe to say she very much wants to be a member of the commission.
And would the rec commission like to have her as a member?
Yes, we would.
I think the answer is definitely yes.
Then I would make a motion that we appoint Jennifer Morrison Green?
Taylor?
Taylor.
Green.
Jennifer
Taylor.
Morrison, see, this is what Mike has done to me. This is the guy running our town.
Yeah.
I would make a motion that we appoint Jennifer Morrison Taylor to the Recreation Commission.
When's this one gonna expire, Mike?
I don't know.
When does this one expire, Martha?
Look at me. I wasn't here last week either.
I'm not sure.
I think we need to look, we've been appointed Josh Ferguson, and I think it was for a 3-year term. So, and then Eric got appointed for a 3-year term. And if Jen gets appointed for a 3-year term, I can't remember when the rest of our terms expire. That's the issue. I think I was just reappointed this past fall.
Well, since we don't have that information, I'm gonna go ahead and make that motion for a 3-year term,
Okay.
so we can get it done today.
I'll second that.
Okay,
And to be clear, that term expires on June 30th, 2028. Do we agree on that, Mark?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
I vote aye.
okay. Motion passes. 5-0.
You gotta update the website.
You ready to move on, Mike? Because this next one is your update on work being done to Dewey Field, T-ball field, and Crystal Beach. Do you want to speak to that?
Sure.
Okay.
I'd encourage everybody, I think, to, starting this conversation, is to go down to Dewey Field and the T-ball field, just to see where we're at right now, as compared to, if you remember what it looked like, 2 weeks ago. Casellas did the work at Dewey Field. The highway crew supported them with materials and stones, and the stones have been in place. The parking area's been expanded. There's still ongoing work that the tree warden and the highway department and the rec director have worked on. They took a tree down, a pine tree that was dead and dying. There's now a batting cage down there. There's been some good progress. There's still more to do. There's some signage. There's some more stones to be put down there. I haven't spoken to the rec director about some of the other work, but I want to pause for a minute and just say, I think it's imperative that the rec commission complete that strategic plan and the vision of our recreational facilities before we go too far and get ahead of ourselves and do work that doesn't fall within that vision. I think I feel bad that we'd be doing stuff after we've asked them to do a strategic plan and we don't give them a chance to write it, and we start doing things that are maybe counter to that. The rec director has a vision for moving the T-ball field over to Dewey Field, so there's 2 fields over there. So if a parent goes to a game and they've got kids that are of different ages, that they're kind of co-located there for command and control of their children, and the unruly ones can be at a new playground area. The T-ball field, I had spoken to a local contractor about doing some philanthropy there and kind of rehabilitating that parking area, but our highway crew have done most of the work already. So there's still more to do, but it looks totally different than what it was. Before it was piles of stumps and brush and stuff. Now it's all been smoothed out. It still needs topsoil, still needs some gravel. There's some work to be done on the fences. I sent a message to the rec director today asking him to send me that list of we could give to the Friends of Rec for volunteers to do to help clean up around those fields, like cutting some brush and that kind of stuff. I need that list, or at least I need to know it made it to the Friends of Rec. So they've said that there's volunteers that want to do work, and I don't know if we're really challenging them to that, and I want to make sure that we get that to them so they have a chance to say whether they can do it or not. So I met today with the members of the Poultney Meadowy Natural Resources Conservation District, and highway crew and Martha came up there at Crystal Beach, and we got some trees that we marked to take down. There's a rain garden going to be built. There's new trees being planted. There's some work. They took out where the poison ivy was growing, and that got taken out today. Some topsoil will be brought in there. It'll be reseeded. Just some constant putting one foot in front of the other to make our facilities better. There is money in the budget, and the select board passed that use of the ARPA last meeting. So we have the money to do this work. We just need to get the list out to the friends to see what they can do to volunteer and keep our foot in the gas with with contractors to get other work done. I gave the highway crew till 1 May to get this non-highway stuff done, and they've been working hard at that. They were up there today. They fixed along the bank, there was slate so kids could stand a nice stable area to fish. Mike Smith was up there with the excavator. They got those flattened out and reset. There's plantings that are happening. We met with Sadie from Polteny Meadowy. So good things are happening. Just taking time, but I think by beginning of summer that this stuff will look so much different than what it looked like, 3, 4, 5 months ago. So I want to say thank you to everybody that's been involved. It's nice to see progress, and it's nice to see that there's volunteers has been part of it, and our own employees have been part of it. So I thank everybody for that. And if you're out and about and you can check out Dewey Field and the T-ball field, I would ask you to do that. And then there was the volunteers that at the Hydeville field, they fixed the backstop area, they did the infield, they cleared some brush. There's a lot of work going on. They got materials, the town paid for materials, they're redoing the dugouts, fixing stuff. So a lot of it's being done with volunteers, and which is greatly appreciated. So
I saw the volunteer work at Hydeville. Kids are down there playing tonight. It's just the greatest thing to see families down there enjoying that. And they did a lot of work there that like Mike said, volunteers that the rec director and Friends of Rec, I think, got going. The parking lot at Dewey, you have to go see it. It's just beautiful. That's always been a mud pit and a mess, and it's just phenomenal. It was professionally engineered and executed. Most people didn't even know the T-ball field was there. You couldn't see it from the road because there was such a mess. And that's an almost completed parking lot now that would probably hold 20 cars. I met with Mike down there a few days ago. While we were there, even in the rain, cars were pulling in and the families were out there playing T-ball.
Oh, great.
Mike Smith did most of that work. He's a really skilled operator, and he bangs right through stuff. He did a really nice job. If you see Mike, it is really exciting, and I would absolutely agree with what Mike said to Martha and Mary. Are you guys still on?
Yep, I'm still here.
Yep.
I think there's so much excitement going on right now that we want to make sure we get that strategic plan for the future, or we're going to have, John Alexander's going to be moving on his vision of what everything should be, and the volunteer coaches are going to be moving in their direction, and I'm going to be making other suggestions, and we should all put our oars in the water at the same time and go in a straight line.
Be on the same boat.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. At first I thought moving the T-ball field sounded like a dumb idea, but then the soccer field would fit behind the rec center. But I don't know, is that the highest and best use for the piece of property? I don't have the skills to figure that out, to look at what do we need and where does it fit best. And I know that the rec commission does have a lot of experience there. Martha's been there for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
She has her finger on the pulse of what, community recreation is and needs to be. So, yeah, I hope that you guys have the opportunity to get to work on that and give us guidance.
I know having Eric on board, he's got some experience, and he certainly clarified a whole lot for me in the one meeting that we talked about, the whole process. So I think we can go in the right direction now.
And I think Kyle Cornell from Casella's, have you met him? Do you know?
Yeah, he's one of my son's best friends.
Perfect. They obviously had some type of professional planner that decided how that parking lot was going to be situated. They may have someone that could help you too, and looking at the blueprints of that property and saying, hey, this is how you get the best use of it.
Right.
He's a really nice young man.
I do.
I would just like to add that in our last meeting, with Eric's expertise, we had talked about a time frame for planning that's a little bit longer than what you're asking for. And it involved like meaningful input and dialogue with the community. So I guess what I would like to suggest is maybe at our next rec meeting, which is coming, a RecCom meeting, which is coming up next week, that maybe we articulate that time frame a little more clearly and come back to you guys and make sure that that's acceptable. Because I think it might be a little bit longer of a time frame than what you're expressing tonight.
What I'm thinking about for a time frame would be by summer sports season next spring. Is that reasonable?
Mark is talking to you, Mary Jo.
I can't remember the end date. Is Eric still in the gallery?
Yeah.
He is.
Does he remember the time frame on that?
I said probably the fastest we could do it would be about 6 months, but I think a year time frame is more appropriate to be able to get enough community involvement with planning this, because we should be asking what the community wants. That's, I think, number one priority. And so we just need to have time to be able to do surveys and stuff like that, so.
That makes sense. I mean, we're into the summer sports season right now. So it's not like we're gonna say, hey, we're gonna start moving the fields around. But it would be nice to know, by this time next year what we're doing. So that seems reasonable. We're all on the same page?
I think a year is a real reasonable time frame.
Perfect. 6 months it is.
Like to hear from you next week.
Yep. But we would like an update in, say, 3 months?
Okay.
Is that reasonable?
Yeah, we can do that.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Appreciate all your work on this.
Ready to move on, folks? Sale of town property, vehicles, and equipment. This is you again, Mike, bro. Gave us all in the packets there.
So I will, I guess, preface this with the board had already approved the sale of the International 7400, the F-450 dump truck, and the generator. What's that? Yep, that list you don't have?
Mary Lee, you don't have these pictures or anything?
No,
You have this list?
I have the list.
You have the list?
Okay.
Share the pictures with Rob. Rob,
Mary
share
Lee,
the
you can
pictures
look
with
at the
Mary Lee.
pictures.
But I don't want to share.
I knew you were gonna say that.
So the list of stuff here takes into account everything that we have that's either, it's not in service. Some of the stuff came, like the snow blowers for the trackless, when we bought the trackless, it came with a large quantity of attachments in varying states of disrepair. So the stuff that we needed, to cannibalize, to make 1 out of 2 kind of stuff's been done. This is the stuff that's left over. So this is not asking for the method, how to get rid of it. This is just a permission, because the way the policy reads, it's April and October of each year that it comes before the select board. So if you approve this list, then we need to work on how to get rid of it. Some of this stuff is totally scrap. I mean, it's just not worth anything because it's so in state of disrepair. But the trucks don't start. We've had them try to jump them, charge batteries, and the stuff doesn't run. So it's hard. What I'm leery of is putting this on anything that people can ask a ton of questions, like Missy bid and all those, because we're gonna spend so much time probably going, can you take another picture of the steering wheel for me? We're gonna be chasing back and forth on this stuff. So if there's anybody that has, Mark Brown, any ideas on how to go about this, Mark Brown, please speak up.
I would sell it all on Copart. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that company. They opened a branch in Rutland last year. They operate in 34 countries and mostly sell wrecked cars for insurance companies. That's where we buy all our cars from. 200 cars a month I buy from Copart. And they do online auctions, and you can see the number of bidders and who you're bidding against. Typically about 2,500 bidders are on each sale from about 40 different countries. And this stuff goes all over the world. And I've got to double check. I think for off-site stuff like this, they charge you $150, and you can run it, if you want to put a minimum on it, they'll run it for 3 weeks. But at that point, when you put something in front of 2,500 people that buy surplus, that's what it's going to bring.
So the cost is just a flat fee of $150 per
I believe
item?
it's $150. I'll call them tomorrow.
It's a
and find
flat fee
out.
though, per item?
Flat fee. So, in my estimation, you never know, but in my experience, that Bobcat's gonna bring $5,000. The International with the flat rack, I can't picture that truck. Is that the white one that was a water truck?
Yeah.
That might bring $1,000. The International dump truck, I think, does that have a plow with it?
That one does not.
Okay. I think that truck would bring $5,000. The Ford F-450 dump truck is probably gonna bring $3,000.
That one has a Fisher plow in the back of it.
Yep.
I was told the generator, that Olympian Generac, is got some value still. Even though it leaks, it does burn a little oil and it needs a radiator, but
That can be fixed.
that thing is something that has piqued people's, they keep asking about it.
I think it
that
would
one,
bring a couple thousand.
yeah,
Those snow blowers are just scrap.
yeah.
All those down to
It's a
M&B
flail
in
mower.
Granville.
Yeah.
And you get $75. That spreader, the picture's just the motor. I think that'll bring $1,000. That Chevy dump truck, or Chevy truck that was at the transfer station, $200.
Scrap price?
Yep.
It has low mileage on the engine. There's people that are in, I've already had people call me about it. They're interested in it for the engine.
Yeah, if you could get more than 200, that's,
Yeah. I think the last guidance I got for the International 7400, the the 350, or the F450, and the generator was, don't get less than scrap price. If it doesn't sell and you can't get rid of it, and you gotta go to, don't take less than what scrap is on it. Yeah, so that
The
was the only
chainsaws-
guidance was I had, so.
I would throw the chainsaws out. They're a terrible liability.
It takes probably 3 people to pick up one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, if we sell one of those to somebody and they cut their leg off,
They're a big boy if they do that.
So what do you want us to vote on where to sell this stuff at tonight?
Just a vote that we can get rid of this stuff, then now we can work out the details of how to do it.
Okay.
Can I get a motion to that effect?
I would make a motion to sell the vehicles that we currently have not in service.
Second.
Any more discussion?
The only thing I'd do is I'd give Mike the authority if something has no value or is more liability than it's worth, that he is authorized to dispose of them as well.
Duly noted. All those in favor of the motion?
aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0.
I can work with Mark, I'll give you a call, so I
Okay.
can understand that process, but.
Yeah, because I definitely think like the bigger items would be better through that Copart thing.
A lot of that stuff will go overseas.
For $150 or whatever,
Yeah.
a cheap fee like that, it's not worth the headache to try to do anything else with it. Let them deal with the headache. Here it is, come get it. Give us a check.
that was last time we sold this stuff, the downside to it was, it was online,
Oh, all the tire kickers.
and then they bid on it, and one guy, it took him like 4 months to come get it.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but thank you.
Installation of a prime power for the new salt shed.
So the handout tonight was the thing from Green Mountain Power that was for $3,127.92. Hopefully everybody got a copy of that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a smidgen different. The only thing that I couldn't get an answer on, Jeff was trying to get an answer. So that, on that quote, there's that CAIC tax. And it's not state tax, because we don't pay state tax. But Jeff believes it's some kind of federal tax, and he was trying to get an answer tonight, but he hasn't got it, at least I haven't got it yet. So to put this power in across from Haddock, as I went and talked to Jerry last week, the simple way of doing this, so it doesn't have to dig under the road or under the ground, is they'll put in a taller pole, around 35 feet, I think it's 45, if I remember correctly. Anyway, it doesn't need a guy line. It's gonna be, they can bury it enough down in the ground that it doesn't need the guy line, which means that it doesn't take up valuable space for the sand pile. And then it would be the town's responsibility to go from the pole to the shed, which we budgeted for anyway. This is all part of that project budget. But since Green Mountain Power is the only show in town,
This is it.
please don't ask me to get another bid, because I can't.
So you're unsure on the tax, though?
Yeah, well, I think it's not state tax, it's a federal tax, so I could
make a motion to approve up to?
That would be the best way to do it, Rob.
I would make a motion to approve up to $3,127.92 to be paid to Green Mountain Power for the, what do we got here? Installation of prime power for the new salt shed.
I got a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Any discussion, Dick?
No. It's a gating item. We need to get this done.
We do. Mr. Jones?
So just so you're aware, the permit, we couldn't do any work until the 30th. That's that 15-day waiting period for the permit. So that's been articulated to the contractor. So we're up against it now. So we'll have movement up there with the building footings going in and stuff like that here shortly.
Good.
All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Motion passes 5-0. Letter of intent to participate in the SFY 26 Municipal Roads Grants in Aid Program.
So this comes around every year. So if the town wants to participate in the state's fiscal year 26 grants and aid program, we need to sign this to let them know that. And usually it's been around anywhere from $13,000 to $18,000, depending on the average of what we get to fix. This is to fix those non-compliant 100-meter segments. So if we don't sign up for this, then we won't be considered for the money at all.
It's out of our pocket.
These projects that we're dealing with, we have to fix the segments anyway, so this just gives us a little bit of a boost.
I would make a motion to sign the letter of intent to participate in the SFY 26 Municipal Roads Grants and Aid Program.
Second.
Any discussion on it? All those,
Sorry,
Go ahead,
it's got Richard Combs' name on it. If you want
I
to,
can sign it when I get back Monday, if that's good enough. If not, I'll sign it in my place.
no, you're good. We don't have to have it until the 23rd of May, so you're good.
I'll come in and sign stuff on Monday.
All right, thank you.
I got a question.
okay.
What's the SFY 26?
State fiscal year.
Thank you.
I didn't know either, that's why I didn't say that.
That's why I said SFY.
None of you knew then.
That's why she's the ethics liaison. She doesn't let that stuff slide.
Thank you for that, Mary
I don't know
Lee.
Jennifer Morrison Taylor's name, but I know that.
La-di-da-da-da,
Yeah.
Mr. Jones.
So there.
You gonna call it, Bob? Let's get going
I think
here.
I can, I think I can. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Next thing on the agenda is facility use agreement and alcohol use in town facilities and on town properties.
You don't have anything in your packet for it?
I don't think so,
No,
no.
there's not, there's a discussion.
Okay, we'll start discussing then.
All right. So the two different parts here, facility use agreement's one part, and the alcohol use and policy is the second part. So I'll go with the easy one first. The alcohol use in town facilities, there was a discussion last meeting about that, and you guys issued one by exception off the policy. So in the meantime, I've spoken to Attorney Merrill Bent, and I've spoken to the Vermont Leagues of Cities and Towns, or in the underwriting section of it. According to the Vermont Leagues of Cities and Towns, this is not an abnormal thing for a municipality to allow alcohol use in buildings or on property. They do recommend certain measures be taken, which I have all that in my office. So to keep in spirit of the policy, what I'd recommend is to not change the policy and do it by exception. And that way you look at every single request on its own merit, and you decide whether you want to or not. And I have that information I'll share with you about this liquor license that they recommend we insure, I guess, that we insure these vendors, like in the case of this one to be a local third place pizzeria, that they have all this stuff in place. It's not just the liability insurance, it's a liquor liability part of it. And if they meet that and they put the town down as an additionally insured on their policy, then the league sees really no craziness going on here. It's just normal business.
Yeah, I agree with except we'll look at it one at a time.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think this is gonna happen very
A
much.
stag party is gonna be significantly different than,
Not
the
gonna happen, right.
fundraiser or whatever.
But I think it should say in our policy that there can be exceptions.
I think it says, the select board has the authority to make exceptions to the policy.
It does say that in there.
Yeah, if we deem it to be in the public good.
Yeah. So if you agree on that, then there's no change needed to the policy. It's just that everything comes before you and you decide how you wanna move on it, and then I can propose some language about the other, what the league is recommending for.
Yeah, for certification.
Have you given us a copy of the policy? We've gotten that, right?
Yeah, it was at last meeting.
Last meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll come back, I just want to see what you want to do with it, and I'll propose some language that I get from the league to put in there and bring it back to you in the next meeting.
Now, is that insurance, did I understand all that? Is that insurance that we have to cover, or are we gonna require the vendor to cover that?
Vendor.
But they also look at, if there's a vendor coming in to serve alcohol, but there's a group that rents the facility, they should also have insurance,
The group has the insurance.
the rental.
With the town as the recipient.
So I spoke to the Friends of Rec and Andy particularly, when they did the turkey trot, we covered it under the town, but I made a statement at that point based on the conversation the league is, they should look at getting their own type insurance. Because somebody goes and gets hurt and they go after them, they could be named as a party in the lawsuit, so they should be insured. It
Yeah,
protects them.
as a nonprofit, they should have their own insurance policy anyway. Our group had to get one, so.
It's, so there's some homework for them to do on cost and where they want to get it from, but, the league said that they could be named, and they also, the way she put it too, I was talking, with Vicky Aber at the league, is if they leave that, say they come to that cash bash, and they leave and they go across the road to third place, and they get lit. And they drive off from there and they get injured or hurt somebody and there's a lawsuit, the town could be named in that lawsuit. Or the friends of record, so.
Everybody.
Yeah, so they're, at that point, when there's money involved, they go after everybody. So we want to make sure that they're protected as well as the town.
Correct.
Thank you for looking into that.
You're welcome, Bob.
Mr. Vice Chairman.
Mr. Vice Chairman.
Liquor license.
Oh, we're not done.
No.
We're not done?
No, that was the first part.
Oh, God.
Facility use agreement. So the facility use agreement has kind of been in a state of flux. We wanted to know what the select board wanted to charge for use of the different rooms and facility, and I think we've got that one nailed down. But one of the things that's happening right now at the rec center is there are people using rooms that are kind of taking up permanent occupancy in there. And without that vision for that building coming from, I guess maybe from the Friends or starting there, what their vision of that building is to the bring it to the select board is, if we just start giving rooms out and start renting them, is it gonna fall in line with this vision of how many rooms should be available for rentals at any time, and, these pop-up events? And speaking of that, Amanda did send me an email. So,
She did.
yeah, today. So, and then what parts of the building would be for long-term rentals? Like, what part of the building are we gonna sacrifice or give up, to do some longer-term things? And that's starting to get more and more activity of chatter about it, and then people approaching me. I've got a local business and a local organization that want to rent space in there. But I've not told them yes or no, because I don't know what that vision is for the building. So I don't think that can wait a year.
Okay, are you talking about long-term as being 6 months, a year, 5 years?
If a business comes in and says, I want to sign a 2-year lease with you or 3-year lease with you to rent this space, and they occupy a large portion of something, does that fall in the vision of what the rec commission and the select board has for that building? I mean,
That's something you should kind of wait on until you see what the vision is?
I think that
More?
I'd have to, because if you enter into a 3-year lease, and now we're stuck with this decision that might not be in line with what you really want out of this. So I don't want to hold people back from doing it, but I think there has to be some thought that goes into this before these agreements are signed. And people start painting rooms, changing things around, putting their own money into something, and then we tell them, sorry, that doesn't align with our vision, sorry, you gotta move out of there. And I don't think that's gonna make good friends with the community if we do that.
Yeah, I think they're gonna need to come up to decide like exactly what spaces they're gonna need here shortly.
Yeah.
Because we need the revenue, we need to start showing some long-term revenue in there.
And
Without a doubt. I
And
mean,
if somebody rents a room to do yoga on Wednesday night, they can't personalize that room and keep it locked up all week. It's their room 7 o'clock on Wednesday,
Yeah,
but Thursday morning,
it's somebody else's.
could be somebody else's. And
But
that's
I'm-
kind of where we're at right now, I think.
But I mean, as far as the long-term rental too, we need to figure out how to block that building out to see who's gonna be where and what we're actually gonna be able to use. Because there's enough room in there and we maybe enough interest, we could actually cover the yearly operating costs of that building through long-term rentals.
Right now, there's three people, agencies, or I'm to be cryptic, that you potentially would make more than 50% of the annual operating costs off those. And I don't think and I'm only speaking for myself, I'm not speaking for anybody else, that you could do something like that without jeopardizing the ability to rent things like the home ec room and classrooms and have space for adventure camp for their 6-week period. The stage is not part of that. So I think there's ways to kind of map out that building. We have the floor plans, you know, so the rec commission could be working on something like that, or if you want to give them guidance to be able to start that process, that they can kind of start mapping this out, because
That would take a lot of heat off. You know, we've talked about trying to generate $1,000 a week from rec programs, which should be doable. You know, I know a lot of them are $50 at a clip, but, you know, if you had 3 of those a day, 7 days a week, you're there. But there are, 6 classrooms, the home ec room, a couple offices, the library, the nurse's office. You know, if there's space that we can,
Get steady income out of, or revenue out of.
we could pick up another 50 grand, now all of a sudden, that building's really, really close to self-supporting.
And maybe having a little extra money for some repairs that need to get done down the road versus having to shell it all out.
Yeah, I think that we're all interested in the same thing. How do we cement this as a rec center for posterity? You know, not 10 years from now, when there's a different board here, are people gonna look at it and say, it doesn't make enough money to keep? You know, I think that's our job, is to make sure that it's self-supporting, or as close, so close to self-supporting that when people go to the polls, they go, yeah, I'm happy to spend, you know, $20,000 of tax money on this because the community gets a big boost from it.
Yeah, because people don't realize under rec, it's not just the building, it's the maintenance of the, you know, the fields, there's budget lines for all that stuff too, and it takes money to, you know, do that. I think we're on a pretty good glide path to getting this stuff really turnkey and aesthetically pleasing, functional, and then we just have to maintain it after that. Which, and a lot of it was done through philanthropy or in-house, so, I wanted, I looked at you earlier, I was gonna say, that when we met with Casella's down there, it was myself, John, and Jeff Davidson, and we worked out the layout of it. You know, they were very Casella's was very accommodating, listened to what we had to say, and, they executed, and they did it really well. You know how many stones are down there? That was all transported by our highway crew, moved by Casella's, and the materials were transported by the highway crew and moved by Casella's, but there's gotta be at least 80, way over 80, probably 80, 90 stones down there that they moved around.
Big stones.
Yeah, so it's,
To
it
keep
just
people
looks
from
really
driving
nice.
on the field.
Yeah, so we don't tear up the field, so. But yeah, so anyway, I think that's, with the interest that's happening in this building, there's just gonna be some guidance out there that aligns with what the long-term plan is for that building.
Is that part of the strategic plan that you're looking for?
Yeah, and I talked to Martha, and they're having their rec meeting, I think, next Tuesday, I think it is. I asked if I could go, so I can kind of discuss that with them, and.
That needs to get kind of fired up sooner than the rest of it.
This is not a year from now kind of thing.
Yep, it's gotta look good on paper, so the
We
community.
don't wanna lose it in a year from now.
Right, right. We
Or
wanna
we-
make sure we maintain full functionality of the rec center and community support for it.
And I was talking with a local real estate agent, and if somebody's really hell-bent to get a place to occupy for their business, and we drag this out for months, they're gonna start looking elsewhere, and we could.
Yeah, they wanna be in business.
Yeah. So it's not something that can wait a very long time.
We gotta move it up a little faster than the speed of town here.
Yeah.
You're gonna discuss that with them next Tuesday?
Correct. And I'll probably, Eric and I are on another subcommittee that, and I wanna talk to Eric too, and just pick his brain on what his background is more and where he can help, but before that meeting.
Good, it's exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's really, I told you down there, so this is the stuff that, when I see movement and things being done, it's really exciting. Just to try now push to get to the end state so that our community can be proud of the stuff that we have.
It's been really exciting to see so many people from different backgrounds using the recreation facilities. You know, particularly, it's great to see, I love to see pickleball and all that, but boy, to see the families and the younger kids come in and have different things than, you know, Little League is great, but not everybody is good at hitting a ball. And it's just awesome to see all the people utilizing that facility.
He didn't mean to pick on you, Bob. All right, so I'll meet with him next Tuesday, and the alcohol policy, if I'm hearing you correct, is leave it as it is, with the, by exception, and I'll get the language proposed for adding to the policy.
Yep.
All right.
Sounds good. Liquor license for approval.
I would make a motion to approve Breting LLC doing business as Third Place Pizzeria for a first-class restaurant bar license, a third-class restaurant bar license, and an outside consumption permit.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I,
Motion passes. 5-0.
I didn't know if Mike wanted to talk about the one that we didn't pass last week, if you wanted to give the board an update.
So as requested by the board at the last meeting, I did meet with the store owner. The next day, he did come in. He caught up on taxes, the current year's taxes to date, and entered into the payment agreement for last year, over $1,000 a month. And that's what we do for, you know, that's how we start the process with people. So he did what was asked of him. I did what you asked me to do. And his license expires on the 30th, so he really wants to know tomorrow.
You're happy with that?
I am.
Everything?
I'm
Okay.
totally happy with it.
Make a motion to approve BEEJJ Incorporated doing business as Castleton Corners Deli for a second-class license, tobacco license, and a tobacco substitute endorsement.
I'll second that.
Do we want to do these separately? Do you want to split them up separately instead of combining them all together?
I can.
If you would just do the first one separately, then the next two can be together.
Okay. I will amend my motion to make a motion to approve BEEJJ Incorporated doing business as Castleton Corners Deli for a second class, I'm assuming that's liquor license.
It is, yeah.
Can I get a second on that?
Second.
Second? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
Would make a motion to approve BEEJJ Incorporated doing business as Castleton Corners Deli for a tobacco license and a tobacco substitute endorsement.
Can I get a second on it?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
I'd like to ask a
Oh,
question.
I'm sorry. You were kind of quiet there. So.
What's the tobacco substitute?
Is it vape?
Vapes.
Vaping.
Okay.
All set, guys?
I'm gonna abstain, I won't vote for tobacco license in Castleton.
So I did it separately. Yep. All those in favor?
Aye.
I,
Aye. And one abstained. 4 yes, 1 abstained.
Yep, got it.
I would make a motion to approve Robo's Creamies and General Store LLC for a second class liquor license.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
Motion passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda is May 5th, tentative, public meeting with Rutland Regional Planning Commission, regional plan discussion. Do you want to speak to that, Mike?
Sure. This is the first draft of the regional plan that the Rutland Regional Planning Commission put together, and Stephanie Burke asked to have a special meeting with the select board and anybody from the public that wants to hear their first draft of that regional plan, and she asked May 5th, if that would be agreeable to the select board and meet here at 7 o'clock, 7 PM on the 5th.
Is this a continuation of the, I guess you call it seminar that was a week ago or 2 weeks ago I went to?
I don't know what you went to, so,
Well,
No, that was a regional select board meeting.
they were talking about townships and village ships and
that's this one.
what's this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you go over in Rutland to that one? Yeah, yes, so that is it.
Because I'm sitting here, it's the difference. They look the same to me.
It's just the 5th to be able to put it out and meet the deadlines for this public meeting. I just need to, that's why I asked tonight, to make a decision so I can let her know and she can get it published.
I don't like the 5th, but I can do it.
It's the only date that week, really.
So you already went to it anyway, so. I'm fine with the 5th.
That's a week from tonight, right?
Correct.
I'm okay with it too.
I'll be here.
I'll be here. I'll be there.
All right. I'll let her know tomorrow.
We don't need to vote on it then that night, just.
No, I just need to make sure I can put it out there as a warned meeting and that they can put it out for the public meeting.
Okay.
So,
7 o'clock right here next Monday
7
night.
o'clock right here, and once I have final stuff from Stephanie, I'll send it out and post it and all that good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, the main reason it's on the agenda tonight, Mr. Vice Chair, was to make sure it's in the minutes of one of our meetings that we discussed it and agreed to have, and agreed to host this meeting.
Okay.
That's mainly for transparency purposes, so that, it's public record that we have agreed to do this.
Okay. Okay. All right. You all set in there now? Okay. Next thing on the agenda is the May 12th. Confirm it is the date and time of a public hearing on the Unified Development Regulation.
So
Incorrect.
yeah, I received a message from Mary Lee, and,
Oh, boy.
yeah, well, the 29th is or 26th, what's the next meeting? 26 is Memorial Day, and that's why I asked if you could move it off from Memorial Day, the Monday, May 26th, and the 29th being or 28th, one of those dates that if you'd move it so that we can have the meeting, this normal select board meeting, and be able to discuss, it won't be a public hearing, it'll be the select board discussing the UDR. Because the select board, or the planning commission wants to be there as well. But if you move it off from the Monday, then you got Tuesday's a planning commission meeting, Wednesday night is fire department here, so really the next available date would be Thursday. If you,
May 29th.
You lost me. You're not gonna have it on the May 12th?
no, because Mary Lee's not gonna be here. And she's been really active with this thing,
It's
so.
in last month's minutes, if you read them.
Yeah. I just picked the wrong date. I just did it to see if she picked it up on it.
So when do you propose to have it?
The Thursday, the 29th, I think, yeah.
It's not a warn meeting, it's between us and the planning commission, because we were all supposed to read that. Have you read it?
What, the whole entire
The
UDR?
whole entire thing.
168 pages? No, I have not.
Then you should.
168
Because it's
pages.
You better
interesting.
get started on it.
That was the
We could go
deal.
late if you,
Everyone was supposed to read it.
I read it all, but I didn't do it in one night.
No, you didn't. I'm sure you didn't.
About 20 minutes, and it was early
I
bedtime.
will get it and I will just read right from page 1 out loud, the entire thing, Bob. How's that at the next meeting?
Can I come sit there and listen to it? So we're gonna move that.
They put a lot of work into that.
Yeah, oh, I know they have, yes, I understand that. So we're moving that to May 29th?
if you agree, everybody agrees on it.
I am fine with it.
So what we're going to be doing on the 29th is, my understanding is we're going to be having the public hearing that's required by the select board to have, to receive public input.
No, we're
No.
just
At
gonna,
that point, after that point, then we can agree to accept it and move on. Is that correct, Mike?
no, we're gonna be just discussing the UDR with the select board.
Right. You don't want to do the public hearing at that point,
No,
Rob?
no.
No, in case there's anything that needs to be changed, then,
Okay, then that's, all right. I just want to make sure we're all clear on the course of action. All right.
Because I think there's a couple things that we're gonna bring up.
Then we're gonna do that on the 28th, 29th, 29th.
29th.
7 PM, 29th, here at the fire station. Right, it's
And
a
on the
regular select board
29th, We'll
meeting.
set a date for a public hearing. How's that for a plan?
Good.
Okay,
Is that ethical?
No, it isn't. It really isn't.
You need to have a special meeting and not include with the select board meeting, is that what you're
No.
talking about?
We should have the select board meeting with the planning commission
That's on the 29th.
on the 29th. Say there's one or two things or three or four things that we don't like about it.
Okay.
It has to go back to them to have them decide whether they'll change them.
Okay.
After they've decided whether they're gonna change them or not, then they have to come to us for the, and have they had their don't they have to have a public meeting?
Yeah, I think they only had to have one, and I'd have to verify those, so don't quote me. But they did come and get your input already. They did make changes based on your input at one of the last meetings. And there's one thing the fence thing, they have a response to that. And, the rest of it seemed to be, there was some wording, I think, Mary Lee, you had in there about, permit, the word permit, and they've addressed that. So they're ready to come back and basically say, you know, we've made these changes that you wanted, what else? I don't know if there's, since that point that you've spoken to them already, if there's other things. I thought that was like the opportunity for you guys to bring to them any changes you wanted, because otherwise this thing's just get dragged out forever in 3 days. Every time you guys come up and say, well, I don't like that word, I want to change it to that word, they can say, sorry, ship sailed.
Yeah, yep.
No, I'm not talking about a word
Yeah.
at this point. I'm talking about some stuff that they took out. This is way back when I met with them, when I met with Frank and Jim Thomas. There's some stuff that they took out. I asked why, and they said, well, it was somewhere else. It was in there, but somewhere else. Asking at the time, what do you have to be, a Philadelphia lawyer to read this? And they agreed to put it back in, but they did not. And I can't even tell you what it is unless I bring my sheet in with me. And then they've got the fence thing in two different places.
I know they've addressed the fence, stuff.
The setback on the fence?
Yeah, and they had some language that they're ready to, whatever, bring forward. So if, on the 29th, they want to be here anyway, so there'd be a conversation that got held that evening anyway.
I think that'd be great.
If I can get
Bring your
something from
notes.
them earlier, on what's been changed, what's not been changed, from your previous concerns or questions, I'll talk to the zoning administrator about it, and she might have something anyway. Just so you know, going into it, what you addressed or what they took back from meeting with you, what's been done, how it got changed, whatever, I don't know what she can provide, but I'd rather have it ahead of time so you can read it rather than grind the sausage out on something that's already been addressed.
I have no problem.
Jim Thomas wants to speak to it, I believe.
Oh, go ahead.
Jim, do you want to speak to this? You had questions earlier?
The process is that if the select board wishes to make a change, they should make it before the public hearing, so their change is to the public. In other words, if you have the public hearing, that's kind of the end of the line. It's not, I don't think you can go back and say, okay, now we're gonna send it back to the planning commission, and then the planning commission has to have another public hearing before they send it to you. I think this thing will be drug out till this time next year.
He's right on that one.
Yeah, absolutely correct.
Right, so we should be able to finish up with you on the 29th, and then it goes to the public hearing.
I think if that's what you want to do, I think the public hearing should come after you meet with the planning commission and hash out what changes are made or not made.
That is
You
our
have the final,
intention.
You have the final say.
That is our intent at this point, Jim, is to meet on the 29th and hopefully nail things down, and then we can establish a date for a public hearing. We're not going to do that until we actually get to the point where all of us agree.
I thought your agenda item said public hearing on the 12th or the 29th.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
Yeah, we agreed that that was not a public hearing.
Okay. Okay, I was confused because I was going on what was printed and it said public hearing.
We didn't have it right, Jim. We're trying to get it right.
Words have meanings.
Yes.
I think it's a 5-year process. I think if you go back, the planning commission started probably about 5 years ago.
Yeah, I know you put a lot of work into it.
Are we all?
Okay, that's my only comment.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Are we all good? Everybody's good? Manager's report? Do you have one this meeting?
I didn't, I'm waiting for a lot of different answers, so I didn't really do one, so, but I want to bring it up to speed on what happened today, because I want to be so full of good news. The Dodge Ram is down at Avalanche. The PTO started on fire today, and they called Viking, and they're like, never heard of that. This is like maybe a first. I was talking with Jeff earlier, and they were like, they called Viking immediately and said, what the heck? And they said, never, it's first on us. So, more to follow on that one. The wood chipper, we got it back and now it's spewing oil out of the dipstick. So, Evan's gonna check to make sure it wasn't overfilled for the first step. But so it did get fixed and now it's spewing oil. And
who fixed it, Mike? Or did that go to Avalanche too?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they didn't have to replace the fuel injection pump. It was airbound, and they had the machine that we didn't have to put enough pressure, and they got it, so it's working. And then now it's spewing oil at the dipstick, so they said they might have got overfilled. So Evan said he's got to check that first before they rule that out first. And then today we finally got that mower tractor out running, and it picked up a piece of fence in the front tire, and it's on Piontek Road right now with the signs around it. Pete's Tire Barn is supposed to come over, and they said, just leave it right there. We want to keep the rim on the tractor, so we'll come and change the tube and make sure everything's good. But it picked up a piece of fence right out back here. They mowed out back and went over towards Piontek and had a flat tire by the time they got over there. So, that'll be fixed, but, then, the South Street Trestle project, that's actually, permit was submitted to the state. The bid packet is out. We had to do an addendum to extend the date. And now we have a second addendum to answer a bunch of questions from the contractors. But that looks like it's on track to be done this year. So that's finally, it's only been 2019, so don't want to rush things. And then barring your questions, those are kind of the big projects. You got the paving, you know about that now. We got a couple more bid packets out there on line striping and the crack sealing. No word yet from V-Trans if they'll move their dates around for paving Main Street. So that's to me, it's critical. They got to get an answer on that. Stormwater project for East-West Crystal Haven, had a meeting with the contractor on that and Hillary Solomon. We got a first bill for it. They have the addresses of all of the residents that live up there, and Hillary's generating the letter to them to try to have a meeting and discuss the next steps. They know where they want to put the settlement areas, but they need the permission from the property owners. So that's the next step there. South Street project, the sidewalks from the University to Main Street. Merrill Bent has the list of the residents' names and addresses to send the letter out to get the temporary 10-foot construction easement. They confirmed that last week that they were sending them out, so we should have something back on that. And those are the, salt and sand shed. So the permit's up on the 30th, expires that waiting period. So the contractor is gonna be ready to roll and start putting footings in.
After the 30th
Yeah.
of this month?
Yeah, they're expecting the building to be coming like, so they
2
want.
days from now?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Holy cow, we're getting something done.
No,
It's amazing.
it is. Well, it's kind of crapping on me, but, so hey, stop.
That's why I liked it so much.
What's that?
That's why I liked
Yeah, I
it
know,
so
I
much.
find such enjoyment in that. What time is it?
Stop it.
It's-
Right on time. You
Yeah.
have to really drag it out now.
So barring any questions you have, in your packet, there's the compliance report from the ARPA funds. That had to be done, the report for obligation had to be done by the 30th of April. Thank God Katie Buckley at the league had some free time, and I took up an hour and a half of her time, and we've met the federal requirements to saying we've obligated all the funds, all the money's correct, and that monkey's off my back.
You got this
Done.
sent to them or whatever? you
Yes,
need-
this is it, this is a copy of what we got sent to them.
Okay.
Nicely done.
Yeah, so we're no monkey on our back there. So barring any questions you might have.
I just had one. The part in front of Mike Holden's house down by the old medical center, is that part of the main street you're talking? Them,
Unfortunately, no. They're talking from Sand Hill Road through the village to the bridge past east of the Amtrak station.
okay, but you told us a year ago that they planned on paving that there. I don't know.
I followed up with you and said, originally, they were gonna go from Fairhaven
Yes.
to West Rutland.
Yes.
And that all got shot.
So when are they gonna do that section in front of,
That was part of my, present, or my, not presentation, what I recommended to V-Trans is if they can't move that, can they shift it up here to the corners so that we can get this done and then worry about the village? Because the village is not as bad as this. So I'll see, I'll forward you what I have and.
okay, so we don't know about this? Okay.
They're not very, they're very rigid.
Yeah.
Well, they've got the same problem that we have with the cost of paving and everything, so.
But this would be just taking what they were gonna do in the village and bring it up here versus doing that in 2026 when our stormwater projects aren't done. They may say, okay, if we do that, we don't know when we're gonna get back to do the section from Sand Hill Road through the village. That could be their answer. I don't know yet.
But even if that were their answer, it's still better to get the worst
Oh, yeah,
part
than
done
digging it
first,
up.
Isn't it?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Even if they won't do it for a year or 2 years or whatever, it's still better to get the worst part done before the village. I would
Yeah,
think.
this is the worst section. But if they're because they had engineers do everything through the village, they have to send their engineers out to do all this, and they sent them out a year and a half ago. So if we switch away, if we ask them if to switch away from that and they agree, I'm not sure, can they get it all engineered down through here? And I just know how, if you think the speed of town is slow, try the speed of state. So,
Except for if you miss making a payment, they're
oh yeah,
pretty
yeah.
fast.
Or if you want a curb cut. So, but more to follow, once I get a response back from them.
Any more questions for the town manager? Dick, you have any questions for Mike?
No, I'm ready to move on.
Okay. Can I get a motion to purchase orders for approval?
Make a motion to approve purchase order number 054001 to Aaron King for $2,865 for painting the interior rooms in the public service building.
Second,
Motion and second. Any discussion?
Oh, I just want to share the quote that he gave us last year and what he did it for this year. We saved about $1,500. same work.
Have him again.
The police department needs some work done, so he's giving me a quote on that one, but
Does he do paving by any chance?
he builds salt and sand sheds, he paves,
And you're happy with
he
all the
builds
work?
playgrounds.
You're
Yes,
happy with all the work?
Yeah, it's unfortunately that the hallway that he did, the fire department members, somebody scuffed it all up already, but
Of course.
no, he does an excellent job.
Good.
And he accommodates, he works around us, so.
All those in favor of that purchase order?
Aye.
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 Would make a motion to approve purchase order number 053677 to Elon City for the sum of $9,750 for the radar speed sign, the solar panel, the battery pack, and I believe shipping.
Second?
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes.
Ready for warrants?
Absolutely.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, I was thinking about this. In your motion, could you amend your motion to include where this money's coming from?
Oh.
It's out of the constable's budget.
On the purchase order, that last one?
Yeah.
Would make a motion to amend my motion on purchase orders number 053677 to include that it's coming out of the constable's budget.
Second?
Any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just for history, there was a resolution you signed last year that came out of the constable's budget, and we looked at this year's, and there's money there, so we don't have to worry about that money from that resolution. I want the money to go back in to the general fund, so that that $223,000 over expenditure is covered by some of that money.
Fair enough.
Ready for warrants?
Go for it.
Make a motion to approve warrant number 00331R for the sum of $63,215. Warrant number 0424 for the sum of $47,584.19. Warrant number 0428 for the sum of $25,854.97. Warrant number 0417P for the sum of $20,144.22. And warrant number 0424P for the sum of $20,459.27.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Mike, what do I gotta do with these? Anything?
Just,
I gotta sign them?
yeah,
My initials and the date?
just up in the middle block somewhere, just,
Start passing those around for me. Up in the middle here,
no, in that middle, that,
right here, that red line,
somewhere in this area down here.
or in that area?
Yep.
Sign it or my initials? Does it
You
matter?
can, okay.
Sign it.
Is that ethical
Yes.
answer?
Boy, am I gonna have fun with you.
Yeah, you are, you already do. Today's date too.
Yeah, please.
I just put all this back together for you, right?
Please.
Okay.
Is that all the ones, Bob?
Yes, I believe. I almost thought there was more there than what we're supposed to have. but Maybe mark it down.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, that's not five. I gave you all that, man.
What's up, Mark?
Thank you.
While you're signing the warrants, if you don't mind, I handed out which is not, I don't know if it's correct right now, there's more emails that came in, but, the ethics training completion tracker, you have a copy of who's taken it, or who's completed and who hasn't at this point. So I'll just keep that updated, and Mary Lee, I'll keep you updated on what's going on with it.
What happens if they don't do it?
I don't know, we take away their birthday. I don't know. It says it's a state requirement, so I don't know if that.
That's up to you, cause you're our ethics,
Enforcement is.
she's our ethics liaison, so
That's right.
that's.
So-
Okay,
Right.
you're gone. You haven't.
You still have
taken
that
it.
electric cattle prod?
He hasn't taken it yet.
I'm getting too much enjoyment out of this.
Oh, I am.
Yeah. Thanks, Rob. Let's go ahead and do the select board comments and or concerns. Mary Lee?
I've got two. One is, how soon do all these guys have to take the ethics training? Because there's more that hasn't than has.
They have 120 days from when they were sworn in, right?
Yeah, it's a little different criteria depending on if you were new or old, and, some of the stuff for the department heads, it doesn't really say in one part of the propaganda that was put out, but then if you read the statute, it talks about department heads, anybody dealing with money and that kind of stuff, so I just said all the departments are gonna take it, and you can't go wrong.
Because like the recreation department and the planning commission, neither one has taken it up at all. The DRB only one's taken it.
It's been sent out to them. I know I got an email today from the planning commission chair that he had taken it earlier. So just gotta get the copies of the certificates done or received. So I'll keep pushing it out there, and
And my other, I guess, question is, at what point is the appraisals? When we were here before, they said they had done mine, didn't leave anything. It was a drive-by. I made an appointment, and what's his name?
Jacob.
Jacob came. Everything was fine. Then the other day, I had a sign on my door that they'd been there and I wasn't home.
So you got two appraisals.
I
double,
guess so,
you get double the assessment.
probably.
All the select boards getting that.
Yeah.
So you're asking for an update? I can only tell you, I guess, what I know at this point, but John Vickery was at the office last week working, and I spoke with Mary Jo after they spoke, and they're saying that they're on track to be done early, and after I sat down with Mary Jo and said, hold on, the printer said they need 10 days to be able to print and mail everything. She needs everything back to her she has to submit the abstract by the 3rd of June. At that point, she needs to be able to send out all that documents. So we're trying to backwards plan off that date to make sure that the printers have their 10 days that they need, and that there's the hearing. So we came up with a date, I just don't have on top of my head right now, of when, I think it was like the May 9th is when they need to be completed to be able to meet all those other timeframes. So they know that. That was articulated to them. And they seem to, at that point, have no issues with that date.
Now, is that the date that the people are supposed to be able to know what they are appraised at and speak to it?
And technically, if they've got everything submitted by that date, so it has to go to the printers, they would have that information. Whether it's gonna be propped up on the website by that date, that's highly unlikely. It needs to be out there by June 3rd. That's the legal requirement when Mary Jo submits the abstract, that all that stuff has to be available to everybody.
Could anyone trot right in and find out what theirs is in the meantime?
If it's been uploaded, yes.
Thank you.
Who do you see?
Mary Jo.
We see Mary Jo?
But hopefully everybody from town won't come in and do that, or she won't be able to get any of her work done.
Because it's, right now, she can look online to see if it's been updated or not. And like, some people come in the office, I've heard her back there, and she's printed a copy of it off for them, basically because it's been uploaded in there.
Are we gonna get that booklet type thing with everybody's name in it and what they're appraised at?
Correct. So they agreed to pay for that and the postage, so that was part of the memorandum of understanding I signed with them. So, yes, everybody will get the booklet, and it'll be online, so those that want to go online, they can do that as well.
Okay.
And they agreed to pay for the booklet and the mailing of the booklet. As long as it didn't exceed $5,000, which it didn't.
Got a question?
How long do property owners have time to appeal after they receive the information?
If somebody knows that answer, they can give it. I don't feel comfortable answering that one because I might misspeak on it.
I don't have that off the top of my head.
You get a letter and it tells you how long?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's gonna go, then it has to go before the Board of Abatement. So I don't feel comfortable answering that right now. Sorry, Roy. I can get the answer for you, but I don't have the, off the top of my head, I don't feel comfortable answering that.
Yours went up more than most people's, Roy. I'm not sure why.
What did you say?
I said his went up more than most people's.
I just had one thing. Brian Orzel reached out. I probably should have brought this up earlier, but I forgot about it. Did he get a hold of you?
No, I heard, I know what it's about.
Yeah.
I already had a response. The chairman sent it to me. And
Okay.
I have a response, and I'll follow up with Brian.
Okay. I told him to just get a hold of you. He said he was gonna run through it and see if there was any extra time, so.
Yeah, okay. I'll reach out to him.
Yep.
I have a workaround, so we don't need to worry about a contract, so. It just, so people are wondering what it's about.
Oh, yeah, he was questioning with all the rocks and stuff down there, extra time for his weed whacking and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, down to Dewey Field.
Yep.
Yep.
Because it's not,
Definitely gonna be some.
it's not the same job that he bid on.
Yeah. I'm, just so you know, when I spoke to the chairman, I'm just gonna have the roustabout do it when they mow once a week. So, we don't need to try to mess with Brian's contract and find extra money if it's gonna be, because we're already over on town land, so for this year at least, for 2 years, we got a contract with them. I have a workaround, or a work through now.
I told him to get a hold of you
Yeah,
anyways.
I'll get a hold of him, because he hasn't contacted me.
Yeah, he said he was gonna, he hadn't seen it, he had just heard that there was some rocks and stuff, so he just wanted me to let you know that he was gonna have to get extra time if it took him extra.
I know, we talked about that like a year ago, so we're good, I'll reach out to him.
Anything else, Rob?
That's it.
Mark?
Are we in concerns or action items?
Concerns?
Yeah, comments or concerns?
I guess I'm not sure if this is a concern or an action item. I know we talked a few months ago about looking into EMS fees for the university. Is that still?
I have I have information
You're
from
working on it.
each place, yeah, I have it.
Okay.
I just don't have dollar figures at this
Yep,
point.
that's fine. As long as I know it's still in the works.
I was told that they have money, so to move on it. They're buying, matter of fact, I went up to Barry to pick up signs for the town, and they said, can you pick up stuff for the university? I said, sure. 60 damn signposts and all sorts of stuff. I'm like, where am I gonna put this? So we got it, and so they've got some money, so.
Well, they
Maybe
have
they
to
spend
pay
it all
for
on
what
sign-
they receive,
Maybe they spend it on signposts.
just like everybody else.
Yeah.
Anything else, Mark?
No.
Dick?
I'm good.
Okay, I'm also good. Action items. You gotta help me out with this, Dick, or somebody else on the board.
Well, the big one will be that we all need to be prepared to discuss the UDR on the 29th, and if that means you need to get a hold of me prior to that, so I can consolidate all your concerns, let's do that. Mary Lee, you're leaving when?
Leaving on the 9th and coming back the 18th.
Yeah, that's right, we discussed that, so when I get back on the fifth, we'll have a conversation and make sure I know what you have on your, since the last time when we met in December, what's changed, and then I'll see the rest of the board members one at a time, and we'll make sure we have all our concerns in one place, so on the 29th, we can meet with the planning commission and hopefully make progress. That's the only thing I've got.
Okay.
That's the big one.
Dick, you were gonna follow up with Green Mountain Church of Christ on the water?
Well, I went down there and met with Jeff, and then I talked to Mike, and I don't really want to get into it too much in public. How about I call you when I get back in town and tell you where we're at?
Sure.
We would like to hear when you come.
There-
We've been here for hours. We would like
Yeah,
to.
Dick, there's two members from the Green Mountain Church of Christ that are sitting in the room.
Well, we're considering a plan where we help them put a dry well in there, or whatever you call it, catch basin, and try to mitigate the water that's down by the road. I do not feel that the water coming off the roof is contributing to this problem based on the elevations that our highway foreman took. And I do not think that we are responsible for the water that comes off the roof, and I'll stand by that.
If I could add, so the elevations were taken and at multiple points, and nothing pitches the same way. So it's like, it's gonna be I don't know, it's gonna be some work to try to get water to go to a certain point there without like going back far beyond the right of way. And, because I think if we just go back to the right of way, then it's not gonna do what they want, and probably what we want too. That's the issue. And we're really going way beyond the right of way where the water comes off the roof and other parts of the parking lot. So it's a Tetris game. But I'm not speaking for the select board. I know you guys had some discussion about some possible cost sharing or something, so.
So Dick, you said you don't think the water coming off the roof is contributing to this, or you do?
I do not think it is, based on the elevations that our highway foreman,
That water is going behind the building?
it's going off to the north, or going off to the east rather,
Okay,
onto the Peltier property.
okay.
But I don't feel that the water that's coming off the roof is contributing to the issue of the water between the sidewalk and, it's on their driveway.
And that's a culmination of runoff from the sidewalk and the pitch of their driveway to the sidewalk?
Yes.
Okay.
And probably before the sidewalk was built, there was water, some of that water ran off into that catch basin that it can no longer access because the sidewalk is there, but I'm not an engineer. I don't remember what the pre-existing conditions were. So I can't say the sidewalk caused the problem, but I can say there is a problem there, and I'm more than willing to work with them to help fix it.
And the catch basin that's on the south side of the sidewalk belongs to the state?
Yeah, and we're not allowed to drain water into the state right away. That's something that they will not move on. I talked to Jeremy Wade about that, and they won't move on it.
And we can't connect to it either.
Yeah, we
So-
can't connect to it even subterranean. We couldn't drive a pipe under the sidewalk and tie into it either. That they don't allow that as well.
So it would have to be remediated on site?
Correct.
And one of the things that, the elevations that are there, if a catch basin gets put in out of the right of way to the west side of their entrance, the water, to mitigate that water, we need to think about putting a catch basin, if that's what the route we go, is more to the center of where you pull in there. Which means it's gonna be driven over a lot, and, otherwise, to try to get all those pitches, we're gonna pave back a long ways to get water to get where we want it to.
And that's gonna be a dry well, so it's gonna need maintenance, right? It's gonna fill up with sand,
Mhm.
a concrete structure.
Yeah. well, you can do two things. You can have a bottom in it with a sump that can be cleaned out, or you can put a dry well that's just stone and it just kind of infiltrates into the ground. But I think whatever happens, the town, as we've done this with others, is we have to come to an agreement with the Green Mountain Church of Christ, and they sign off saying the town has no more responsibility in this, because it could be 20 years down the road, and if that thing fails or does something, we're gonna be right back at this. And
Right. If Route 4A gets paved and elevated 4 inches, that's gonna add to it.
anything could add to it. I mean, they pave their driveways or whatever. I mean, it's normally, these are the kind of situations where we'd say, we come to an agreement, we work it out, and the town has no responsibility at that point. And I think what I recommended to you is, if we work out a deal with, that's feasible with the Green Mountain Church of Christ, is do we end up paying them and they get the work done, and that they pick their contractor and they do all that work, and we're not part of that? That way, it's not, they can't say, your contractor did this. So we have to think this thing through. That whatever the mediation or the solution is, that we work it out, so how it's gonna be, I guess how it gets played out.
Right.
Come up to the podium, would you, and just say who you are, and
Waiting a long time for that.
I understand that, I'm sorry.
Thanks, Bob. My name is Chris Warm, and I am one of the members of the Green Mountain Church of Christ. We haven't changed our roof in many years. However, what has changed was putting the sidewalks in. We're really thrilled to have sidewalks in Castleton. However, we did not have the water problem, which when it freezes in the winter time, and then it expands and it contracts, and so now it's breaking up the macadam at the bottom of our driveway, which is coming in contact with the new cement sidewalks. We looked at this problem, and poor Mike has gotten so many texts, phone calls, and meetings on site with me. I'm very, very happy to say that he's been wonderful. The sidewalk is replacing what was dirt and grass. So some of that had some kind of natural absorption. Obviously, the cement does not. And now the cement is higher than where the driveway is. So we have a little cement dam right there. So all we're asking is for somehow for it to get fixed, so it's like it was before the sidewalk was there. And we've come up with, pumps and drainage. I don't know, perhaps a trial of, if there's some car around, that we try and make the driveway even with the sidewalk as a trial to see if that works, and maybe it won't be expensive. But it did not exist before the sidewalks.
I know they did, they did work on the other side, into the auto parts store, and I saw that it's still ponding there by the other day. So they fixed some bad spots, but it's still ponding there.
Yeah, so we keep spending money on crushed rock, and the members of the church are trying to spread it, but, when it rains significantly, some of it gets washed away, and trucks and cars are coming in, and it's getting pushed out of the way. So we're putting a Band-Aid on something that's hemorrhaging, and it's not, I'm a nurse, I'm sorry.
We're not that scary.
Bad news doesn't get better with time, so.
I'm just, don't think.
Can you state your name just for the record?
Steve Marcoux, I'm also a member of the church. Been in the area for 35, 40 years. Contractor for 35 years. I know grades, I've done grades and all of that. I agree. At looking, the catch basin is not gonna work, and keep it out of the right of way. But what I have seen, and I'm not even sure, you may even know, whoever actually did the work, they redid our side regrading with the stone and all of that at the same time. The grades that they have as of now with the stone, if we could take that and turn that to asphalt, it would resolve 0 issues. There's no pooling there, there's zero, the stone will not hold up. It just, when you start putting this much stone over the top of asphalt, we all know what happens. Cars drive over it, it blows out, it turns to potholes, and it's gone. I personally feel that that's the best resolve is if you take it from the sidewalk height, essentially what they have with stone there now, that would pretty much resolve the issues with no drainage.
Have you talked to a contractor about getting that work done?
No.
I have an idea, but I don't know if I want to say it out loud.
You can get that to me, Mike.
Yeah,
You know my number.
Yeah, I think there's, we got paving going on this summer, and if there's an agreement that can be made, I think I can work this out. But I need to talk to the select board if you're, I mean, if I can do it in an open session if you want. Because if that's what you guys think would work, and I get a paving contractor down there to look at it, and they say they think it could work, and I get an estimate for that, then when we do our paving this summer, we add it as an add-on to that, and we do it. But I can come back to you with what the cost would be to do that.
I think that's a good step,
I
right?
have to
No.
say, when I said that earlier, we had not spoken. We just
mean,
came up
my-
with the same resolution
my
without speaking to each other.
Biggest is I agree, we're not gonna get the water to go where we want it to, 100%. The biggest is trying to get rid of the swimming pool at the end of the driveway.
So if we said your plan
Mhm.
is something that we could participate in, it would be with the understanding that at that point we were done.
I would agree to that.
Okay.
We then have to go back to the church people. to
Yes, but
Get
I-
the
as-
approval, but it,
I
as
would agree.
representatives.
And I don't want to say anything that makes you think that I agreed to do that, because I don't have the authority to do that.
Correct.
I'm just saying, if we meet at this place,
Mhm.
that would be the end of our obligation.
The reason I.
You couldn't come back next year and say, hey,
No, like,
Correct, and I understand.
Okay.
I understand that. Our biggest is that the issue did not exist until the sidewalk went in. That's what.
It wasn't
that's
as
what
bad.
Changed it.
right?
I mean, everybody has little
There was
wells
always
in
some
their
water
driveway,
that pooled
but
there just because
it
that's
is.
the low point between your building and the center of the road. But it is worse now, yes. I think that you're probably familiar with that state catch basin.
Correct.
And I think the water used to make it to that, and now it can't.
Mhm. Correct. I agree with you 100%.
Okay. Well, we can't give you a resolution tonight,
Mhm.
but we're absolutely gonna work really hard to see what we can do.
Absolutely.
And,
We just wanted an opportunity to give our voices to all of you for consideration. And the reason I think that it would work, where I came up with that idea, is I went to Paul's Pizza, and where they have the new cafe, that big lot, which has two entrances, which is similar to our design. We have the lot in the front with the two entrances. They don't have the pooling, and I went there and looked, and their sidewalk is not, it's much higher than their driveway.
Well, the town, that's the one that I added to the paving 2 years ago, because it was, we never made it back to the right-of-way, and it was pavement at one point in time, and we paved back to that, and it's not, so now it's it's kind of, the elevations go back towards the north, and that stopped that ponding there. So the only issue that I have, and I'll work with the paving contractors to get some ideas on it, but your asphalt farther back is starting to break up, and if you saw cut that to make a joint, it's just not gonna be a good joint, because
Right.
it's already breaking up. So otherwise, we'd have to keep going all the way back till we got some solid pavement, and that could be back quite a ways.
well, that pavement's pretty old, and it gets a lot of traffic.
I mean, I don't know what the church's long-term plan is, but if you had to go back farther and you want to be part of this process and for that extra paving, then that's something you can work out when I get some estimates, but.
Potentially
Yeah.
use our money to go, instead of having a cold joint,
yeah.
to go beyond what you're going to fix.
Right.
And that's potentially is the plan, is to pay for the whole thing eventually.
Well, maybe we can work this project out to happen this year and come to a resolution that's happy for everybody.
Because it would probably be more cost effective to do the whole show while they're already there than to have to pick up and come back again a year down the road, 2 years
Costs a lot
down
of
the
money to
road.
move that equipment in.
I can't remember Jennifer's name, but I got a plan for this one. You know, because we have other projects that, you know, we got the salt and sand shed that's got to get paved. So there are some things that usually when you tie things together, that you get a better deal on it. So, but I'll get quotes and I'll come back to the select board with it. I'll keep you guys informed.
And then you'll just let us know where we are,
Yeah.
as far as decision making.
Yeah, matter of fact, once I have a date with to meet the paving contract there, I'll let you know, and if you want to be there.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, all right.
It won't happen this week, but we will work on it.
Thank you.
Keep me in that loop too, Mike.
We'll do. I'll let everybody know. Because,
Really want to see this get resolved.
and if we just told the paving contractor it needs to be done by the time school's out till August, so we have a time with them anyway.
Yep.
But I think the one for the salt and sand shed is gonna be earlier.
And just one other thing to throw out there too, that I also know that in the past, there was issues with Mr. Pelletier and work being done there that would potentially put, he is willing to work with us. I have spoke with him directly, so, if there's a need to do something that's going to affect him, he is willing to work with us as far as that goes. He said previous owner he wasn't willing to work with, and that's why previous, I believe you were the one, Mike, that said that, he stopped you from doing something at one point.
Yep. Yeah.
In the beginning stages, but he did say that he was willing to work with us on it, as far as that goes.
Yeah.
Good.
Kind of nice
So-
people. Ask Bob, he's known me forever.
We don't trust him.
Yeah, you could see that, right?
In your effort, and
I should have said something during citizens' comments and concerns.
Yeah, we got nervous.
I should have said something then, because I saw you back there, and some shiny object came up, and
But then I saw you writing a note to Mark, and I went, I think we're good.
Well, sorry you had to wait so long.
That's
no,
okay.
no problem. No
Appreciate
problem.
it.
Just Thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming in. We'll figure something.
so now you get to see a full select board meeting, look at that.
I'd like to go back on action things.
Yeah, we're still on that.
Okay,
We're not going back.
we're not going back.
Nope.
All right. All of us are supposed to be reading this UDR, not just me.
Oh, I know, we know that.
So it doesn't make sense for me to go to Dick with what I found and then he bring it to you guys. That doesn't make sense. Every one of us are supposed to read it. Every one of us is supposed to have ideas of what should be changed. And I don't think every one of us should go to Dick necessarily and him go to each of the rest of us.
I think Dick was
All
just
I'm
good.
trying to do, Mary Lee, is avoid an open meeting law violation.
I'm sorry, that is unethical. That is also against the open meeting law. I've done a little bit of checking on from other times I've said it, and you all said to me, no, it didn't count because we didn't make a decision. Well, the decision was made before it came. Each one of us knew exactly we were going to vote. And then you, in particular, said to me, I was wrong. It was not breaking the open meeting law, and it certainly was, because the decision was made before it was brought to the public. And I think this here is the same thing.
I get, are you recommending something instead of sending it to Dick, or are you just holding it?
I think each one of us should read it and come up with their things, and it should be done at a meeting.
On the 29th? Bring it then, on the
Yeah.
29th?
Yes.
so we can all discuss it together.
Yeah, yeah.
And we are also discussing it with the planning commission at the same time.
I'm fine with that.
Any comment, Dick, to that?
Okay, we got a plan, let's do that then.
Okay. Mark, you wanna comment to it at all, or
No, I'm good with that.
you're good with that? Okay,
Okay,
that's what we're doing.
okay.
Make a note, send reappraisers back to Mary Lee's.
I've only had 2 of them so far. How many are there?
3.
I assume I had the girl because I think that was the drive-by.
Yeah.
And then I had the one, so send the 3rd one.
They told me she makes pies.
All 3 will show up.
They don't want to come back, believe me.
Dick, did you have anything for action? You already covered action items, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm ready to move on to anything else we need to do.
Okay, is there an executive session need?
Up to you guys. I don't have anything right now.
I make a motion to go into executive session for personnel.
Second that.
A motion to go into executive session for personnel in a second.
9:51.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye.